Chapter 1350. As for the lack of results, Knight Sorrow was not anxious. It had only been a month. He was the king. As long as he did not die in battle, he would have a long life. After returning to the mysterious sky world, Knight Sorrow rested for 2 days in a small city near the spatial barrier. Then, he continued to explore the next world. After Knight Sorrow finished exploring the third world, he returned to the city in the sky. Seeing that Knight Sorrow had returned, his family members told Knight Sorrow about the situation. Everything was ready. Old Man Gu, invite all the acquaintances of Bamboo Garden Village over. Knight Sorrow said. When he said this, his heart felt heavy. He knew that other than Uncle Nyo, almost all the elders of Bamboo Garden Village were no longer around. The rest were all from the next generation. Original first release. Normally, people of the same age as Knight Sorrow should not be in this world. However, because of Knight Sorrow's outstanding performance, the children of Bamboo Garden Village who were the same age as Knight Sorrow had all embarked on the path of cultivation. After dinner, Yi Shang apologized to his 3 wives while drinking tea at the mansion's observation deck. Sikong Chuyu smiled. 6th senior sister and 9th senior sister don't mind. Naturally, I don't mind either. Luo's personality is very good. She is also a good sister to us. Yujun and Qing Yan are already grown up. I still have to marry. This is a little embarrassing. Knight Sorrow felt a little awkward when he thought about this. Aunt Luo is very good. She is a big figure and often gives us pointers in our cultivation. Actually, she has long seen me and my brother as family. After Qing Yan arrived at the observation deck, she poured a cup of tea for Knight Sorrow. She could also tell that her father was a little stressed. Luo has helped me a lot over the years. Besides feelings, I am grateful and respect for her. Knight Sorrow said. After staying for 2 days, Knight Sorrow felt that there was still some time left. He left home to explore again. However, he still did not find anything. After exploring the 7th space, Knight Sorrow realized that he had explored more than half of it. There were still a few worlds left. The other was the barren space. At this moment, the dark abyss also had a visitor. It was a woman wearing a red dress. Datura, what's going on with you? How did you get into a fight with the heavenly monarch of Thunderfire? The woman in the red dress asked. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance, I don't want to either, but there's nothing I can do about it, Datura said. A few days ago, the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch came to our Sima residence to pay a visit. He said that you seem to have something against him. The woman in the red dress, who was also the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch, said. Why do I, Datura, have a problem with him? They didn't quarrel, didn't fight, and didn't target him, right? He has a guilty conscience. Datura sneered. Lei Hua's actions were a classic example of the guilty party complaining first. Datura, although we haven't been in contact for many years, we still have feelings for each other. Today, I came to congratulate you, but I shouldn't talk about this. Is there something that we don't know? Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance asked. Datura nodded and told her about the shady business of the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch, and the Burning Sky Tower Master, who had been taken in by the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. There's actually such a thing. He's really playing with everyone in the palm of his hand. The Burning Sky Tower Master cultivates the 1,000 Infant Fist. We also know about this, but we didn't expect that the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch would take in such a person. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance was extremely dissatisfied after hearing Datura's words. The Thundercliff is a force under his command, and Feng and Lei are his disciples. These years, he has hidden too deeply. Let's not talk about the forced purchase in the auction house. However, he shouldn't have taken in the Burning Sky Tower Master. Datura was angry when he mentioned this, because taking in the Burning Sky Tower Master was a slap to the eastern district of the world of reincarnation. Sigh, I don't ask about the matters of the Sima Manor. Everything is handled by the Manor Lord. When he came to visit a few days ago, I was in seclusion. The Manor Lord agreed to his request and promised to support him in the next City Lord election. Fortunately, I wasn't there at that time, so the Manor Lord's promise had nothing to do with me. In other words, the Manor Lord only got one support in the Sima Manor. The Manor Lord owes him a favor, so there's no other way. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance said apologetically. I understand. These matters aren't handled by me, but by Night Sorrow. If he fights with Night Sorrow, he will definitely be pulled down. It's useless even if he gets support. Datura said. I should support you, but the Sema Manor can't support two sides. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance said. It's nothing. I'm very grateful that you came to congratulate me. Datura said. In fact, after Night Sorrow said that he wanted to kill the Dark Underworld Heavenly Lord, Datura didn't care who was on whose side. If he didn't understand, he would kill. After Night Sorrow finished exploring the 7th spatial world, he felt that he was lacking. This was because when he went to the 7th spatial world, he couldn't withstand the grinding of the spatial turbulence. After he entered the 7th spatial world, his protective energy was exhausted. The distance between the remaining spatial worlds and the Heaven Mystic world was getting bigger and bigger. Night Sorrow felt that if the space-time willpower didn't reach Star King's level, he couldn't continue exploring. In addition, there were still 3 months before the wedding. Many guests would come, and he had to receive them. The original body also had to come out of seclusion. The clone could do many things, but only the original body could do the wedding candles. Yishang didn't intend to continue investigating, so he returned to the city in the sky and forged weapons for Gong Xian and the others. After that, Yishang forged a set of armor for each of them. Only then did he feel at ease. He didn't want anything to happen to any of his senior brothers, so he helped as much as he could. After doing all this, Night Sorrow decided to go to the 9 grand floors. He also brought his family. As for safety, Night Sorrow didn't have to worry. Those below the Sky Master level were no threat to the 9 grand floors. As long as a Sky Master level figure entered the Qing Emperor's city, the 3 giants of the Qing Emperor's dynasty would know. Tang Jianfeng arrived at the Qing Emperor's dynasty early. He accompanied the Qing Emperor and threw his son and daughter into the 9 grand floors. This time was different from the Sandalwood wedding. At the Sandalwood wedding, many people came because of the Qing Emperor. In the black-yellow great world, only the people from the City Lord's mansion came to congratulate. However, this time, not only the people from the City Lord's mansion came, but the other 2 top forces also sent people. The people from the Sea King's mansion arrived. It was the Sea King's mansion master who came with his granddaughter, Hai Ling. The Wuling Mountain Master also showed up. Night Sorrow had helped his daughter. Now that Night Sorrow and Datura were getting married, he had to come regardless of whether he was the man or the woman. The man, Night Sorrow, was a senior king. He was not qualified to talk to the Sky Master level figure. However, Wuling Villa owed Night Sorrow a favor, and Datura was a Sky Master level figure. It was necessary for him to be on good terms with him. Many cultivators from the 9 Grand Floors World Group also arrived. Night Sorrow came out to fight for the stability of the 9 Grand Floors World Group, which made many people feel grateful. Misty Rain stayed in the 9 Grand Floors. The officials of the Qing Emperor's palace were in charge of receiving guests. She stayed in the 9 Grand Floors mainly to guard against emergencies. Now, the safety of the 9 Grand Floors was the top priority. The second update has arrived. Thank you for and the unsealing of yesterday. Chapter 1351. Grand. Night Sorrow's wedding was much grander than Sandalwood's wedding. It was not because the Qing Emperor was biased, but because Night Sorrow's circle was wider. The 9 regions world aside, in the world where Night Sorrow came from, he was the realm lord, so he had the best relationships. It was the same in the 9 Clouds world group. He fought for the safety of the 9 Clouds world group. Those who were sensible all remembered Night Sorrow's favor. In the Samsara world, in the position of the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was almost above everyone else. The Qing Emperor had announced that Night Sorrow was in charge of everything in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. In addition to the position of His Highness, he was also the regent. This was because Night Sorrow was unwilling to take over the position of the Emperor. He was willing to be the Emperor now. The Red Emperor's kingdom originally had a grudge against Night Sorrow, but after several joint battles and the fact that the Red Emperor and others were in the wrong, the Red Emperor and others no longer cared about it. The Li brothers of the Black Fiend Valley were not good at strategy. Now they recognized Night Sorrow as their backer. Since they had a chance to get close to him, they naturally had to express their gratitude. 3 top forces of the Black-Yellow Great World came, which was incredible in the eyes of practitioners. It was a great honor for the giants to attend the wedding in person. Tang Jianfeng was there for the sake of the Qing Emperor. They were close friends, but the master of the Wuling Mountain and the master of the Sea King Mansion were there for the sake of the Qing Emperor, and mainly because of Night Sorrow. They did not come to Sandalwood's wedding. Every time a friend or relative arrived, Yi Shang would go and greet them. Night Sorrow visited the VIP building where the master of the Sea King Mansion lived. Hai Ling, who was beside the master of the Sea King Mansion, was stunned. "Aren't you a 7-star king? It's only been 3 years, and you're already a 7-star king? If I'm lucky, I'll be able to break through." "Night Sorrow pays his respects to the Manor Lord," said Night Sorrow. "Linger, don't believe his nonsense. He's not even 160 years old yet, and he's already cultivated to the Star King realm. Is he just lucky every time?" The Sea King Manor's governor said as he glanced at Night Sorrow. The Sea King's Manor's master had a head of golden hair that draped over his shoulders. His eyes were bright and full of vigor as he sat there. Your lordship's words are a little too direct." Night Sorrow did not know how to respond to the Sea Monarch's words. "Kid, you were still showing off your abilities 3 years ago, and now you've learned how to be tactful," the Sea King Manor's master said. "It's not about being tactful. It's better to be humble in front of the seniors. Do things in a high-profile manner and behave in a low-key manner." Night Sorrow took out the heart-cleansing tea he had brought and began to brew it. "Genuine 4-inch haha. I like to hear this, and it's also true. 7-star King Realm can enter the Heavenly Pavilion. You're the first person to do so since the formation of the Black-Yellow Great World. You have the right to be proud. Ling said that you don't plan to go again. Such a temperament is hard to come by." The Sea King Manor's master had said it as a joke at first, but now he was seriously sizing up Night Sorrow. "I won't go again. One should know when to stop. Heaven and Earth Pavilion gave me a chance, and I'm grateful and grateful. Some opportunities should be given to future generations," Night Sorrow said. "All right, with these words, the Sea King's Manor will befriend you. If you need anything, just give me a shout. I won't eat your soft jade tendon pill for nothing," the Sea King Manor's master said with a smile. "All right. If anything happens to the Sea King's Manor, I, Night Sorrow, will be able to do it. I won't delay receiving the message." Night Sorrow nodded. After talking with the Sea King Manor's master for a while, Night Sorrow went to meet the others. Leakless True Body. He actually cultivated the Leakless True Body. After Night Sorrow left, the Sea King Manor's master exhaled and said, "Grandpa, you mean that we can sense his cultivation, but the energy and aura in his body won't leak out at all, right? During a battle, the loss of energy is very small, which is a great advantage," Hai Ling said. "That's right. It can increase one's combat strength, reduce energy consumption, and prevent evil from entering one's body. Most importantly, it's the only way to survive the trials of wind and fire." The Sea King Manor's master said something that Hai Ling didn't know. Seeing that his granddaughter didn't understand, the Sea King Manor's master explained it in detail. This guy was rumored to have a heavenly axiom artifact, and now he has the Leakless True Body technique. Isn't this a disaster? Hai Ling murmured in a low voice. He won't get into trouble easily now. The main thing is that his momentum has been built. With his current strength, a sovereign is no longer a match for him. Even a Sky Master would have to put in some effort to take him down in an instant. As long as he can't be taken down in an instant, someone will come to his rescue. He's married to Datura, and his master, mistress, and senior brother are all Sky Masters. Who would want to poke a hornet's nest for no reason? Amazing! When I first met him, I felt that he wasn't ordinary. Later on, I learned that this guy is terrifyingly powerful. His combat strength is strong, his strategy is good, and he does things well, Hai Ling said. When making friends, we have to put aside the concept of benefits and benefits. We don't want to take advantage of others. He has a body of merit, and being friends with him will invisibly increase one's luck. You'll slowly realize it, the Sea King Manor's master said. Hai Ling nodded. She didn't want their friendship to change. You should also go out and visit some seniors. You'll have to travel the world in the future. One more friend means one more path, the Sea King Manor's master said. Night Sorrow felt very tired. There were many guests that he had to visit. He left in the morning and only returned to the Nine Heavens Pagoda at night. You rascal, I wanted to find you for a drink, but you didn't show up for half a day. Sandalwood and Yi were chatting with Misty Rain in the Nine Heavens Pagoda. I can't help it. Since they're here, I have to pay them a visit. Some want to drink tea, and some want to drink wine. If I don't find an excuse, I don't know how long the two from the Black Fiend Valley will drag me to drink, Night Sorrow said. The two bears from the Black Fiend Valley. They're not good at strategy, but when they set their minds on something, they'll follow it to the end. There won't be any twists and turns, Misty Rain said with a smile. Haha. Yes, it feels like they're quite direct. I've also apologized for killing Li Ying today. But judging from their attitude, I think they're willing to let bygones be bygones, Night Sorrow said. That's good. This time, you're completely exposed in front of everyone. Getting to know these people will only bring you benefits. Although there are some things on you that will bring you trouble, as a sky pillar, they won't stab you in the back with a smile. Now that they've expressed their goodwill, they won't turn hostile so easily, Misty Rain said. Right now, the Sima residents and Yuan Daotian haven't made any moves. As for the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire, he can do whatever he wants. Since we've already shed all pretense of cordiality, I don't care how hostile they are, Night Sorrow said. Shed all pretense of cordiality? Misty Rain frowned. Yes, he went to look for the brothers from the Black Fiend Valley and made us look bad. Unfortunately, the Black Fiend Valley is now on our side. Li Tianba told me about it, but he didn't agree or reject it. My intention is to let the Black Fiend Valley drag it out and let the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire make some mistakes in his estimation, Night Sorrow said. When they were drinking earlier, Li Tianba and Night Sorrow had talked about some things. Chapter 1352. But the two of them came to the Qing Emperor's city. This will make the other party suspicious, Zhan Tan said. I don't think so. We fought the Black Fiend Valley until they asked for peace. Now that our Qing Emperor's dynasty is holding a wedding, it is reasonable for the Black Fiend Valley to come and congratulate us. Night Sorrow shook his head. That's right. This isn't much. The main thing is whether these two bears know how to act. If they act well, then the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch will make a mistake and lose the City Lord election, Misty Rain said. After chatting with Misty Rain and Zhan Tan for a while, Night Sorrow arrived at the Heaven Tiger Pass. He wanted to see if Qian Chongwei and Qian Yu were used to it and what the situation was like. After arriving, Night Sorrow felt more at ease. Qian Chongwei and Qian Yu were already cultivating the joint attack array with the team. This meant that they had already integrated into the God-slaying team. After inviting everyone to his wedding wine, Night Sorrow left. Captain is really impressive. He can even marry a heaven master now, Linglong said to Nan Liue. Haha, this is indeed impressive. I can't help but be impressed. Look at all of them. They all came out at the same time. They are so stupid, Nan Liue said with a smile. Nan Liue was already married to Lei Bao. Ho Jian and Linglong's relationship was also not bad. It was just that they were still lacking in maturity. After returning to the 9-story tower, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to the Dark City. He wanted to see Datura Datura. During this period of time, he had been investigating the spatial worlds around the Heaven Mystic World and didn't see Datura Datura. In the courtyard, Night Sorrow saw Datura Datura. However, there was another lady in a red dress. She was the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. Let me introduce you. This is my future husband, Night Sorrow. This is my good friend, Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. She's the wife of the Sima Manor's manor head, and also a famous big shot, Datura Datura introduced. Night Sorrow greets the Heavenly Monarch. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch. Then, Night Sorrow sat down, and Datura Datura got up to make some tea. You better treat Datura Datura better in the future. Otherwise, I will settle the score with you, Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch said. After that, Datura Datura told Night Sorrow that the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord already knew about the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. She didn't support the Thunderfire Heaven Lord, but her husband had already promised the Thunderfire Heaven Lord and couldn't go back on his words. After chatting for a while, the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord left and went to the Dark Abyss VIP Tower. Night Sorrow and Datura Datura were engaged, and they definitely had something to talk about. It wasn't appropriate for her to continue. After sending off the Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord, Datura Datura looked at Night Sorrow, We used to know each other, but our relationship wasn't that good. We were just acquaintances, so I didn't mention this to you. Who knew that she would come? Seems like she still cherishes old friendships. The Sima Manor has someone who supports the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. Their numbers are the same as ours. We still have some plans to carry out, so we have to reduce their numbers. It can't be helped if we lose the strength of the world of reincarnation. Knight Sorrow felt that he still had to kill. Since the Feng Tian Manor head, who had the worst character, didn't appear, he would kill the Dark Heaven Lord first. Okay, but don't kill anyone before our wedding. Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. I forgot to ask Xuanji about the investigation of the General of Wind and Thunder. I don't know what his character is like. If it doesn't work, kill him. The Thunderfire Heaven Lord wants to be the Lord of Reincarnation City. I won't let him get what he wants. Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow chatted with Datura for a while and returned to the Nine Chong building. Knight Sorrow received guests every day. The main reason was that there were more guests, and he couldn't leave anyone out. Some of the sovereigns of the Nine Chong World Group came, and even Sovereign Yuan Ling came. He couldn't afford to offend Knight Sorrow. This was an opportunity to resolve and ease the conflict, so he couldn't not come. Sovereign No Beginning and the Seven Rains Sovereign didn't come. Both of them were in seclusion. However, the people in charge of the two forces came. Seven Kills King of the Endless Mountain brought Hei Feng. The eldest disciple of the Seven Rains Sovereign, Piao King, also came. Their masters were in seclusion, but they had to come. This way, the difference in etiquette could be minimized. Sovereign Shen Shao, Sovereign Purple Clouds, Sovereign Xian Tian, and Sovereign Sky Scorpio were all here. Yi Qianhua brought Shang Xi to the Nine Chong building. No matter who it was, those who came to the Nine Chong building were giving face. Knight Sorrow received all of them, regardless of whether they had any grudges in the past. Even Knight Sorrow's family came out to receive Knight Sorrow because Knight Sorrow was too busy. There were 7 more days until the wedding. Knight Sorrow's original body had also broken through. His space-time willpower had entered the Star Monarch realm. There was no time for his cultivation to catch up. Knight Sorrow left the space-time pagoda. Senior, there are only a few more days until my wedding. I have to go back. Knight Sorrow bowed to the void. A happy occasion refreshes one's spirit. Your cultivation has broken through and you have a beauty. You should be like Knight Sorrow. The origin of the Samsara Palace appeared and nodded at Knight Sorrow with a smile. Senior, thank you for your care. Knight Sorrow will remember it. Knight Sorrow bowed to the origin of the Samsara Palace and left the Samsara Palace. He took the teleportation array back to the Nine Chong building and merged with his clone. Looking at the chapter on the VV version, Junior Brother seems to have become stronger. Looking at Knight Sorrow, Jean Tan said. Just today I improved again. My secondary attribute has leveled up. Knight Sorrow said. Double happiness. Sure. Jean Tan nodded. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow's original body received the guests and spent time with his friends and family. His clone helped complete the armor. It was a high-grade king artifact. Knight Sorrow received the guests. Someone was in charge of the defense of the Qing Emperor City. Summer City, Xian Daozi and Shangguan Hong led the Dark Guards, the Qing Emperor's Guards, and the Imperial City Guards. Anyone who caused trouble in the Qing Emperor's City would be arrested. Knowing that Knight Sorrow didn't like to see deaths, those who caused trouble would be caught and thrown into the Demon Ceiling Tower. They would be locked up until they died. However, Knight Sorrow didn't know about this and didn't ask. There were many Heaven Masters in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, and they were all on good terms. Anyone who caused trouble would be courting death. As for those who weren't Heaven Masters, the Qing Emperor's Guards and the Imperial City Guards would deal with them directly. On this day, Knight Sorrow came back from the VIP Tower and saw Bloodthirsty and Bloodthirsty in the Nine Chong Tower. The two were there to apologize to Knight Sorrow. They now understood why Rowan said not to provoke Knight Sorrow and why Datura valued Knight Sorrow so much. Datura agreed to Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing's marriage proposal. After the engagement, he announced it in the Dark Abyss White Bone Palace. Commanders, you're thinking too much. You're soldiers and so am I. How can there be right and wrong in war? Soldiers are soldiers. This is something I can do, Knight Sorrow said. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Bloodthirsty and Bloodthirsty felt relieved. After Night Sorrow married Datura, they would be in trouble if anyone came looking for trouble with them. At this time, someone came to report to Night Sorrow that the Shenwu Great World and the Zhanwu dynasty had also come to congratulate him. The Qing Emperor had already received them. Mistress, this disciple's status is not equal to theirs. However, this is disciple's wedding. Do you think disciple needs to go? Night Sorrow looked at Misty Rain and asked. Fourth update. Are you all ready? Let's explode tomorrow. Chapter 1353. Well, you don't know them, so it's not appropriate for you to visit them. If you don't go, you'll be lacking in etiquette. How about this? I'll take you there. The Zhanwu dynasty and the Qing Emperor's dynasty aren't on good terms. I don't know why they're here, said Misty Rain. Misty Rain had stayed in the Shenwu Great World for some time, so she knew a lot about the Zhanwu dynasty. The Zhanwu dynasty was the most powerful force in the Shenwu Great World. Many years ago, the third emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty was defeated by the Qing Emperor during an expedition. Both sides had some disputes. Under Heavenly Lord Yufei's lead, the two of them arrived at the VIP building. At that moment, the Azure the Arch was conversing with an imperial lord of the Zhanwu dynasty. There were two other monarchs standing behind the emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty. Brother Qing, other than congratulating your disciple on his wedding, I'm here for another matter. My youngest son admires Brother Qing's princess, so I'm here to propose marriage, said the emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty, who was wearing a long robe with tiger stripes. It's up to Qing Luan herself. Her children and grandchildren have their own lives. I won't interfere with her marriage. As long as she's willing, we can talk about anything, said the Qing emperor. Brother Qing, you must be joking. Children's matters can be handled by their parents. Isn't this just a matter of a word from Brother Qing? Said an elder in a tiger-patterned robe. He was the second sovereign of the Zhanwu dynasty, Fierce Tiger Celestial Lord. Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger. I'm not joking. I won't interfere with our children's marriage, said the Qing emperor. Brother Qing, are you not giving me face? Lord of Heaven Fierce Tiger's face turned cold. So what if I'm not giving you face? If I give you face, you'll be respected. If I don't give you face, you're nothing. Why did you come to our Qing Emperor's dynasty to threaten us? Misty Rain, who had been silent all this while, couldn't stand it anymore when she brought Night Sorrow in. Qing Shangjuan, this is also your intention. Heaven Monarch Fierce Tiger stood up. All this time, I, Qing Shangjuan, have always prioritized peace. If I could avoid falling out with you, I would. But since you came to my house and threatened me, then you can't blame anyone. See the guest out. Qing Emperor stood up. He was already infuriated. Firstly, the other party didn't respect him. Secondly, the Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven didn't reply when Misty Rain spoke, which was also a sign of contempt. Haha. Very well, I came to ask for your hand in marriage, but you didn't give me any face. Just wait and see. Heaven Monarch Fierce Tiger flicked his sleeves and left the VIP tower. Both parties had completely fallen out with each other. Is he stupid, or does he not know the way? Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. He didn't understand the conversation at the beginning, but the Fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven was a little too arrogant in the latter part of the conversation. The Qing Emperor's words were very clear. It wasn't a rejection, so he started to throw his weight around. Latest, new square root L. Section J+1. He's not stupid, nor does he not know the way. The Zhanwu dynasty is the overlord of the Shenwu Great World. They are used to doing things arrogantly and think that this is their territory, Misty Rain said. I originally thought that it would be good to live peacefully, but it seems like we still have to fight when we have to, Qing Emperor said. The Zhanwu dynasty has absolute authority in the Shenwu Great World. They do things shamelessly. The first emperor is even more perverted. He has countless beauties in his harem. As long as he sees a woman and is aroused, he will do those shameless things, Misty Rain said coldly. They are demonic beasts that have taken human form. They have a bestial nature in their bones. This cannot be changed. Everyone, be careful. If he feels that he has lost face, it is possible that he will resort to any means, the Azure Emperor said. Night Sorrow nodded. This kind of thing couldn't be avoided. It was equivalent to the other party coming to bully them. At this moment, Red Emperor walked in. What happened? Why did Eru leave in a huff? In the circle of Sky Masters, the fierce Flame Lord of Heaven was the second emperor of the War Tiger dynasty. Therefore, many Sky Masters addressed him as Eru. He came to propose marriage. I said that it's a matter of children and that the children should make the decision. Then he turned hostile, Qing Emperor said with a smile. So what if he turned hostile? This is a happy occasion for the Qing Emperor's dynasty. That guy didn't even look at the situation. Red Emperor shook his head. He didn't expect the fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven to do this. Then, Night Sorrow and Misty Rain returned to the Nine Chong building. One problem after another. Heavenly Monarch Yu Fei muttered. Seeing Night Sorrow's confusion, Misty Rain told Night Sorrow that the War Tiger dynasty was arrogant and despotic in the Shenwu Great World. The fierce Tiger Lord of Heaven would definitely find trouble with them. However, Night Sorrow didn't think much of it. The possibility of the forces in the Shenwu Great World starting a war in the reincarnation world was very low. Some sneaky actions were nothing to be afraid of. Misty Rain didn't say anything. She didn't want Night Sorrow to worry. Night Sorrow really didn't understand the tyranny of the War Tiger dynasty. In Night Sorrow's mind, stabilizing the reincarnation world was the most important thing. The Thunder Fire Lord of Heaven was a despicable person. It was hard to say what he would do in the future. Therefore, he had to drive him away. If the Thunder Fire Lord of Heaven was only the leader of a force, it wouldn't matter. However, he controlled the reincarnation city. This matter was too big. The Thunder Fire Lord of Heaven had the City Lord seal. Everyone in the reincarnation city had to be wary of him. Then, Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji. Xuanji, have you investigated the Thunder Fire Lord? What's his character like? He doesn't have any principles or standards. It's like a power struggle. He has massacred cities many times. He doesn't leave a single person alive. Women and children are all killed, Jun Xuanji said. If he doesn't have any principles, then we don't have any either. Let's not talk about it for now. Let's deal with my wedding first. Then, we'll see how to deal with it. Since we're living in this world, we have to live a peaceful life. At the very least, we have to let the people around us live without threats. We have to let Wuyo live without worries, Night Sorrow said. Misty Rain nodded. He liked Night Sorrow's philosophy. He didn't seek to dominate the world, but he wouldn't allow others to step into his territory. Night Sorrow then chatted with his wife and Xue Shi. They came over as well. Night Sorrow didn't want his wife to feel left out. No matter how many years they had been together, he couldn't let his love and care for her be reduced. He knew that it wasn't easy for his wife to worry about him when he was away. Night Sorrow, you know us, and we know you. Don't feel pressured. We know what's going on. We know that it wasn't your intention. Actually, it's pretty good. Luo gets along well with us, and our family is harmonious. Isn't this what we want? Sikong Chuyu said. After being married for so many years, Sikong Chuyu and the others knew what Night Sorrow was thinking and worried about. It's been hard on you guys, Night Sorrow said. 13. This isn't you. You're high-spirited and never admit defeat. Actually, it's your ability to marry a sky pillar. Moreover, we all like a Luo, Yonglei said with a smile. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow emphasized to his family that they couldn't leave the 9 grand floors. Now that he had offended many people, danger was everywhere. In the past he had opponents. Now, there was the Zhanwu dynasty. Chapter 1354. A man may not hurt a tiger, but the tiger will hurt a man. The Qing Emperor's dynasty did not want to fight, but Night Sorrow did not know the attitude of the Zhanwu dynasty. If Misty Rain said so, then things would be very troublesome. However, Night Sorrow was not very worried, because now the eastern district of the world of Samsara was almost like an iron plate. No matter who came, they would not be afraid. A few days passed in the blink of an eye, and it was the day of the wedding. First, it was the wedding ceremony. The members of the god-slaying team were all in red robes, and so were all Night Sorrow's senior brothers, including Sandalwood. Night Sorrow led the way, and the group of people carried the sedan to the Hall of Bones. After entering the Hall of Bones, Night Sorrow bowed to the leaders of the Dark Abyss one by one, and then carried Datura, who was wearing a festive dress, onto the sedan. Then the group of people went to the teleportation formation and returned to the Qing Emperor's city, and then to the Qing Emperor's palace. Night Sorrow's wedding was more troublesome than Sandalwood's, because Night Sorrow's family members were all there. They worshipped heaven and earth, and paid respects to their parents and master. Because Dachira was a big shot, respected by everyone, and had a perfect will, no matter if it was the good Qing Emperor or Night Sorrow's parents, no one asked Dachira to really bow to them. After the ceremony, Mandela and Yi Shang accompanied the guests to drink and chat. They were busy all the way until night time. Night Sorrow and his family returned to the Jiuchong building. Night Sorrow and Dachira also arrived at the bridal chamber. Night Sorrow, why am I a little nervous? Looking at Night Sorrow, Dachira's face was full of red. Haha, it's nothing. Don't be nervous. The night is good today. Let's look at the moon and drink tea, Night Sorrow said. Okay. Dachira's voice was so low that it could not be heard. Night Sorrow took Dachira's hand to the roof of the attic. This was a newly tidied attic, and it would be the bridal chamber of Night Sorrow and Dachira. The two of them took out the tea set on the observation deck at the top of the attic, and made tea. They chatted casually, talking about the present and the future. Yi Shang, thank you for staying here with me on our wedding night. Let's go and rest. Mandela said. Okay. Night Sorrow, Dachira, Dachira. After entering the bedroom, Mandela extinguished the red candle and leaned into Yi Shang's embrace. Dachira, love. The two of them were like fish in water, a pair of lovebirds sharing necks. The bright moon shrouds the light mist. Tonight the beauty coils around the neck to sleep. Early in the morning, Night Sorrow woke up and looked at the beautiful person beside him. Dachira's sleeping posture was very beautiful, but when Night Sorrow looked at her, she woke up. You're so bad. You don't know how to take care of people at all. Dachira pulled the quilt and blushed. It's happening. You'll be laughed at if you get up too late. Night Sorrow sat up and put on his robe. He then brought Dachira a silk skirt. Dachira nodded. She was very satisfied because this was what she had been thinking and longing for in the past. After the two of them finished tidying up, they went to the main hall of the 9 grand floors. It was necessary to greet the family. Luo, we don't have that many formalities in our family. We'll be a family in the future. Yu Qing pulled Dachira to sit beside her. Everyone chatted for a while before breakfast. The whole family was happy and harmonious. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan were also very respectful towards this concubine. Dachira told Night Sorrow that her original body would be living in Sky City, while her avatar would be dealing with matters in the dark abyss. Luo, I can't. After spending some time with you and my family, I still need to go into seclusion to cultivate. I still have a lot of room for improvement, Night Sorrow said apologetically. Go ahead and cultivate. I'll stay in Sky City. I'll do whatever I can. Don't worry, Dachira said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. With Dachira in the 9 domains world, he felt more at ease. The wedding was over, but Night Sorrow did not leave immediately. There were still many guests that he had to entertain. After being busy for 6 or 7 days, the wedding finally came to an end. Night Sorrow and his family also returned to Sky City. After being busy for so long, Night Sorrow also needed to rest. Forever Free BC small p say after resting in Sky City for a month, Night Sorrow decided to move. His original body would continue to cultivate while his avatar would search for the other part of the space-time treasure pagoda. Originally, it would be difficult for Night Sorrow to continue searching. However, his space-time willpower had leveled up. Although his energy cultivation was slightly weaker, his willpower had increased by 1 level, and his strength had increased by a lot. After greeting his parents and family, Night Sorrow's original body went to Reincarnation Palace while his avatar continued to search in the mysterious heaven world. Dachira's cultivation had already reached a limit. Unless there was enlightenment in the realm, there was no way to increase her battle strength. She was in Sky City to guide everyone's cultivation and dispel their confusion. She also mobilized a group of blood-robed guards to guard 7 Night City. Datura also told the Divine Night Sovereign that the 9 Firmament Worlds teleportation array could be opened and restored to normal operation. This arrangement came from her confidence. She was not afraid of any Sky Master's provocation. As long as someone dared to come, she would dare to kill. Seven Night City also had a city-protecting array that could defend against the Sovereign. Even if a Sky Master came, he would not be able to break it in a short period of time. Hence, she had enough time to react and go out to kill. Night Sorrow's original body once again began to speed up his cultivation and comprehension of his willpower. His avatar began to investigate the surrounding worlds of the mysterious heaven world. The days passed in this long investigation. Sometimes, Night Sorrow would go home to take a look. Sometimes, he would go to the 9 Chong building to take a look. After a year, Night Sorrow's bloodline talent and the power of desolates in his body had also reached the level of a Sky Master. Night Sorrow's original body used resources and the Ice Dragon's blood essence to speed up his cultivation for 20 years. If it was other people who lacked resources or had low levels of resources, they would not be able to keep up with their cultivation in 100 years or even a few hundred years. After a year of investigation, Night Sorrow had almost finished investigating the surrounding worlds of the mysterious heaven world. There were only 2 worlds left. Night Sorrow felt that he would finish investigating them in a short period of time. If there were no results, it meant that he did not have enough opportunities. He could only think of another way or wait for another opportunity. Night Sorrow stopped his investigation. He felt that what he needed to do now was to get rid of the Dark Underworld Heaven Lord and the General of Wind and Thunder. This way, he could proceed with the City Lord election in advance. Jun Xuanji told Night Sorrow that the Thunderfire Heaven Lord was very active now. He even said that he was suppressing the powers of the Eastern District of the World of Reincarnation. It was not just the Eastern District of the World of Reincarnation. The Black Fiend Valley was being suppressed even more. The Thunderfire Heaven Lord was forcing the Black Fiend Valley to submit and forced the Black Fiend Valley to stand on his side. Night Sorrow first went to the Black Fiend Valley and comforted the Li brothers. Then, he gathered the few big shots of the Eastern District of the World of Reincarnation. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Thank you for your support, old brother. Chapter 1355. Latest chapter? In the section, now that the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire is jumping around, we can't let him do as he pleases. We have to act quickly. Now that we have shed all pretense of cordiality, he will use his position as the City Lord to attack our forces with special privileges and abilities. Therefore, I don't intend to give him the chance, said Night Sorrow. Then what do you think? This old man is shameless. His subordinates sealed up our elixir store and other businesses. He even left a message saying that we didn't follow the rules and that we should look for him if we want to settle it. Li Tianba's face was filled with anger. He is trying to rope in a group and attack another group. Since everyone has a tacit understanding, let's start the battle. Let's split our Heaven Masters into 2 groups. One group will kill the Dark Lord of Heaven, and the other will kill the General of Wind and Thunder. When we are ready, we will attack at the same time. We won't give them a chance to send a message, escape, or react, said Night Sorrow. Then let's split into groups and target them according to their situation. My master won't attack for the time being. The remaining 6 Heaven Masters will split into 2 groups and kill 2 of them, said Night Sorrow. The Dark Lord of Heaven is good at speed, while the General of Wind and Thunder is good at head-on combat, said Datura. I will deal with the General of Wind and Thunder, said Sandan. He was good at head-on combat. Back when he had just advanced, he didn't use the Soul Cultivation Liquid, Jade Tendon Elixir, or cultivate the Leakless True Body. Yet, he could still defeat the Heaven Master level puppet of the Celestial Sect. I will deal with the Dark Lord of Heaven. Who will cooperate with me? Don't give him a chance to escape, said Datura. Then let's split like this. Me, Sky Tiger Valley Master, and Lord Ruler will kill the Dark Lord of Heaven. Sandan, Sky Tyrant Valley Master, and Red Emperor will kill the General of Wind and Thunder, said Misty Rain. That's for the best. Back then, that bastard bullied me because of his speed. This time I will kill him. The enmity between Li Tianhu and the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch was huge. Originally, their strength was about the same, but the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch was an expert in assassination. Therefore, Li Tianhu was constantly tortured by him. Then it's settled. We've confirmed that the Dark Heaven Monarch is in the 1,000 Mountains to the north of the Samsara city. Both groups will have spies from the furious Kylan army. My doppelganger and original body will follow them separately. This way we can exchange information with each other. Once we're sure, we'll take them down at the same time. Knight Sorrow made his decision. There's no need for spies. I'll follow. This matter is of great importance. We can't afford to make any mistakes, Jun Xuanji, who had been listening, said. All right, then let's move out. Pay attention to the main body and the doppelganger. Don't let them escape, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow was in Dachura's group because the Dark Heaven Monarch was the most cunning one. He had been an assassin for many years and had never failed. The group moved out in the dark of the night. Knight Sorrow's group did not arrive at the Samsara city. That would alert the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. After teleporting to a small city near the Samsara city, the group flew towards the 1,000 Mountains to the north of the Samsara city. The spies of the Qing Emperor's dynasty had detected the Dark Heaven Monarch's appearance in the 1,000 Mountains many times. They were certain that the Dark Heaven Monarch was in the 1,000 Mountains. After arriving at the 1,000 Mountains, the group concealed their aura and began to investigate slowly. Commander, Lord Jantan has confirmed that the Thunder Generals are in the Thundercliff. Both the main body and his doppelganger are there. His main body is cultivating behind the Thundercliff while his doppelganger is having a meeting with the disciples in the main hall of the sect, Jun Xuanji said. All right. Tell my senior brother and the others to wait. We'll talk when we get the results, Knight Sorrow said. The main body and doppelganger of the Dark Heaven Monarch are not in the same place. This gives him a chance to jump around, Misty Rain said. No. In order to pursue combat strength, the main body and doppelganger are always together. Li Tianhu had some understanding of the Dark Heaven Monarch. That's for the best. This rule is very helpless. If both the main body and doppelganger are present, they will be counted as a quota. If both the main body and doppelganger are present, they will also be counted as a quota. Therefore, we have to kill him completely, Knight Sorrow said. This is mainly based on strength. However, one soul can only be counted as a quota, Misty Rain said. The 1,000 Mountains range was huge. Even if a Heaven Master wanted to investigate, it would take a long time. However, everyone was very calm. This battle could change the situation. On the 6th day, Dachura gestured for everyone to stop. It's just ahead. The Dark Heaven Monarch is resting there. Manager Meng from the auction house is also there. Now that we've found him, it's easy. I'll fight head-on. Misty Rain will take care of the formation. Sky Tiger Valley Master will take action when the opportunity arises. In short, we can't let him escape, Dachura said. Okay. I'll hold back one of the main body or doppelganger. Lord Ruler, use all your strength to kill one first. Then, we'll kill both together. Misty Rain, you don't have to do anything. Just watch and don't let him escape, Li Tianhu said. After that, Dachura increased the size of his protective shield, enveloping everyone within. Not a single bit of aura leaked out. Lord Ruler, this cultivation technique is powerful. Not a single bit of energy is leaked out. The Dark Heaven Monarch won't be able to discover us. Li Tianhu was a little excited. When they were 1,000 miles away, Dachura stopped in his tracks. Xuanji, tell them to take action in 10 minutes. Jun Xuanji nodded. Following that, Sandalwood's doppelganger conveyed the message. The few of them waited for the time to take action. When they felt that it was about time, Dachura nodded at them. He released his protective shield and flew rapidly towards the Dark Heaven Monarch's lair. Li Tianhu and Misty Rain followed closely behind. Night Sorrow's energy enveloped Li Tianhu and flew forward rapidly. Night Sorrow's speed was extremely fast. He was slightly faster than Li Tianhu. When Night Sorrow arrived with Jun Xuanji, the killing had already begun. Dachura's main body and doppelganger appeared. They were holding hollow knives and were slashing towards the Dark Heaven Monarch, who was constantly dodging. Are you guys trying to kill all of us? The Dark Heaven Monarch understood what was going on. He knew that his relationship with the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch had been exposed. The Thunderfire Heaven Monarch was suppressing the eastern region of the world of reincarnation. Now, The forces in the eastern region of the world of reincarnation wanted to take action against him. Knowing that the situation was bad, the Dark Heaven Monarch's body swayed. 7 shadows flashed and charged in all directions. Among the 7 shadows, 6 were fake. 1 was the main body. The one fighting Datura was the doppelganger. Li Tianhu roared. His broad-bladed sword swept across and destroyed 4 shadows. However, 3 of them were still escaping. Misty Rain slashed out and destroyed 2 of them. However, 1 of them was still escaping. That was the main body. Night Sorrow waved his hand and threw out an array disc. It was an activated confinement-killing array disc. Following that, he used the Great Emperor Samsara slash towards the Dark Heaven Monarch's main body. Night Sorrow was the closest to the Dark Heaven Monarch's main body. The Dark Heaven Monarch was about to break the array disc and escape. Night Sorrow was the only one who had a chance to stop him. When Night Sorrow's Sky Splitter arrived in front of the Dark Heaven Monarch, the Dark Heaven Monarch had already broken the array disc. However, Night Sorrow's Sky Splitter was waiting for him on his escape route. Chapter 1356. Die! The Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch waved his hand and slashed at Night Sorrow. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow was pushed back 70 feet, but the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch was pushed back 10 feet before he could stabilize himself. But at this moment, Li Tianhu had already rushed over and attacked the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch with his saber. It was his original body and clone attacking the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch together. At the same time, there was a scream from the other side. The Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch couldn't withstand Datura's attack and his clone was killed. The Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch wasn't Datura's opponent in a one-on-one battle. Now that Datura's original body and clone were attacking his clone together, how could he withstand it? Datura's original body and clone executed the Great Death Destruction Slash at the same time and cut him into 2 pieces. Mandela. UB*TCH. Don't give me a chance. I will make you beg for death. Heaven Monarch of the Dark Underworld was infuriated when his doppelganger was killed and his original body was beaten up by Li Tianhu. You want me to beg for death, but you want me to beg for life? You don't have a chance. Dang! Datura took advantage of the gap in Li Tianhu's attack and sliced off the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch's right arm that was holding the saber. Then, his original body and clone surrounded the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch and attacked continuously. In a moment, more than a dozen saber lights entered the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch's body and exploded with a loud explosion. At this moment, a nascent soul appeared and flew out. The nascent soul was the soul. When a saint entered the Saint King realm and returned to his original state, the soul pearl would evolve into a nascent soul. If the nascent soul ran away, it could take over someone else's body and reincarnate. Trap kill. Yi Shan swung his hand and threw out an array disc. Then, he used the Spatial Revolving Dragon Kill to break through the gaps in the array formation. The Spatial Revolving Dragon Kill's energy directly shattered the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch's nascent soul. Night Sorrow already had the strength that surpassed the Monarch realm. It wasn't difficult to kill the Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch's nascent soul. You called me AB*TCH? You don't understand how noble I am. Datura took the storage ring from Dark Heaven Monarch and threw it to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow opened it as soon as he checked. This proved that the Dark Heaven Monarch had been completely killed and had disappeared from the world. The Tempest General's true body has been destroyed. Now Lady Sandalwood and the Heaven Tyrant Valley Master have gone to help the Red Emperor kill the Tempest General's clone. Jun Xuanji reported the situation at the Thundercliff to Night Sorrow. Very well. If we kill the General of Wind and Thunder, then the Thunderfire Heaven Lord will be alone. He, together with the Fan Tian Tower Lord, Residence Master Sima, and the 2 Heaven Master level puppets of the Celestial Sect, only have 5 seats. They won't be able to compete with us, said Datura. Let's go back and wait for news. Night Sorrow said. No matter what the situation at the Thundercliff was, there was nothing they could do to help. They just had to go back and wait. Killing the Dark Heaven Monarch was already a great harvest. It could be said that they had severely injured the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. After all, the Dark Heaven Lord was his greatest assistant. Night Sorrow and the other 4 returned to the Nine Chong Pavilion and waited for news. It's done. The General of Wind and Thunder's storage ring is an ownerless item. He has been completely killed by Lady Sandalwood. He is not on the same level as Lady Sandalwood, Jun Xuanji reported to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow waved his arm. The situation was stabilized. The Qing Emperor's empire had 7 Heaven Masters, while the Thunderfire Heaven Lord only had 5. Ah Luo, do you think the precious fragrance Heaven Lord will be influenced by her husband and support the Thunderfire Heaven Lord? Knight Sorrow asked. He didn't understand the precious fragrance Heaven Lord and didn't know what kind of person she was. A Heaven Master wouldn't go back on his words. She shouldn't do that, Dachura said. It's still an unstable factor. Another thing is Yuan Daotian. If Yuan Daotian doesn't come out to cause trouble, we will win for sure, Misty Rain said. Yi Shang shook his head. He felt that he should wait and see what the weakened Heaven Monarch of Thunderfire would do next. Now that he had the upper hand, Yi Shang was not afraid. He could ask the origin of the Samsara Palace to elect the City Lord in advance, or he could keep it to himself until he had absolute confidence. An hour later, Sandalwood and the others returned and successfully killed the General of Wind and Thunder. Junior brother, everything went well, Sandalwood said. Thank you, senior brother. Thank you, everyone. We can't move anymore. We can't kill our way into Samsara City, so it's unrealistic to kill Fen Tian Tower Master. Besides, Chief Sima is a decent person. He helped the Thunderfire Heaven Lord because he owed him a favor. We can't kill him just because we need him. Knight Sorrow felt that they should wait and see. That's right. We have to follow our principles. Otherwise, we are no different from the Thunderfire Heaven Lord. Red Emperor nodded. Look at the original chapter. Our spies are doing their best to find out what the Heavenly Monarch of Thunderfire will do. Either he still has a trump card and is unwilling to give it up, or he was knocked down in an instant, Yi Shang said. He wanted to find some clues based on the Heavenly Monarch of Thunderfire's actions. No one present had any objections because Knight Sorrow's decision was right. Besides, this is a special time. If we can kill, so can the others. Don't forget that there's still Ling Tian from the Celestial Sect. If we can take them down one by one, they might be able to do the same. Leave the matters of each faction to others, or send your avatars back to take care of them. Your main bodies will stay together and drink tea and wine. Also, you guys should discuss and choose a city lord in advance. Who should we choose? After Yi Shan explained his plan, he threw out another big problem. Black Fiend Valley can't do this. We don't have this idea and we won't get involved, Li Tianba said. Although he wasn't good at strategizing, he could see some things clearly. He and Li Tianhu were not talented in this field. Besides, the Black Fiend Valley had just joined the alliance. The position of the City Lord of Samsara City would not be taken by someone from the Black Fiend Valley. I don't have any objections. Whoever is suitable can do it, Dachura said. The Qing Emperor's dynasty is the strongest now. The alliance is also driven by the Qing Emperor's dynasty. You guys can make the arrangements. Red Emperor said. He knew very well that the alliance was led by the Qing Emperor's dynasty. The most suitable candidate for the City Lord of Samsara City was from the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Or it could be Knight Sorrow's wife, Dachura. No, it shouldn't be him. Even he couldn't subdue the 2 brothers from the Black Fiend Valley. Knight Sorrow, you can do this. The Red Emperor and the 2 Valley Masters have no objections. The ruler is your wife. Your brother won't have any objections either, Misty Rain said. No. I won't do this. I'm just a junior. I don't have the qualifications to be the City Lord. My master, the Qing Emperor, is the most suitable candidate. My master cultivates the way of the gentleman and doesn't do things that go against his conscience. Everyone knows this. It's good for the stability of the alliance. After all, the most important thing in the alliance is trust, Knight Sorrow said. But I think you'll have the confidence to command the battle, Li Tianba said. Don't worry, Valley Master Li. I'm not indifferent. I'll fulfill my promise. The forces of the alliance will have equal status in Samsara City in the future, Knight Sorrow said. He knew what Li Tianba was worried about. It's hard to say if your master will be willing to do it, Misty Rain said. Chapter 1357. I think it's suitable. The Azure Supreme the Arch is slightly injured, but it's no longer a big problem. We all believe in him. Most importantly, Yishang won't do it.
Apart from the two of them, no one else is suitable, the Crimson Emperor said.
Okay, I'll talk to him about it. Misty Rain nodded. The matter was settled. Then, under Night Sorrow's arrangement, everyone rested in the Nine Heavens Pavilion. Night Sorrow and Misty Rain went to the Azure Sky Pavilion to meet Qing Emperor. Misty Rain told him about Night Sorrow's idea. Sigh, other people are racking their brains to get the position, but we're not willing to do it. My body isn't suitable. Night Sorrow doesn't need this position to strengthen his position. Sandalwood isn't suitable either. Qing Emperor said with a bitter smile. Yes, Night Sorrow is a realm lord himself. He doesn't need to develop his power in the Samsara city. Besides, he's not a Sky Master and his cultivation is weaker. If someone else becomes the city lord, it's not good for the stability of the alliance. Why don't you take the position? Night Sorrow and we can do the rest. Misty Rain said. Master, we don't want to bully others, but we don't want to be bullied. Not only do we want to stand at the peak of strength, we also want to stand on righteousness. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay, let me know if there's anything you need. Qing Emperor nodded. He didn't care about the position of the city lord of the Samsara city, but he was the only suitable one in the current situation. Night Sorrow and Yu Fiu returned to the Nine Heavens Pavilion and told everyone that Qing Emperor had agreed. Then let's wait for the news and see what the Thunderfire Heaven Lord does. Also, I want to ask, how many Sky Masters are there in the Yuan Dao Heaven? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down in the main hall of the Nine Heavens Pavilion. One person, but a very strong one, the Crimson Emperor said. Even if we include this one, there will only be 6 Heavenly Lords of Lightning Fire. Even if we include the Sima residents, they will at most be on par with us, Night Sorrow said after pondering for a moment. That's right. It can be said that victory is already within our grasp. Sima Manor's Lord of Precious Fragrance will not easily side with the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. She knows what kind of person the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch is. In addition, she has already said that she will not interfere or support him. If she changes her mind, then she will be lacking in her humanity and state of mind, said Datura. One more thing. Did the Celestial Sect only have 4 Heaven Master level puppets? Can you be sure that there are only 2 left? This is also a variable, Night Sorrow said. That's simple, Datura said. I have a damaged Heaven Master level puppet. Bring it to the Divination Master for divination and he will be able to determine how many puppets there are in the world of Samsara. If there are 4, then 2 of them are damaged, and the Celestial Sect will only have 2 left. Then we'll have to trouble the Divination Master. Night Sorrow really did not want to trouble Xiandaozi for this matter, but there was no other way. Misty Rain knew that Night Sorrow did not want to speak, so she sent someone to invite Xiandaozi over. After Xiandaozi arrived, Night Sorrow explained the current situation and needs. At the same time, Datura took out the Heaven Master level puppet and handed it to Xiandaozi. Okay, we'll have the results in 3 days. Xiandaozi nodded and left 9 Story Tower to do his divination. While 9 Story Tower was making arrangements, the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch was furious. Night Sorrow, Datura. You 2 bastards ruined my plans. Sandalwood, you should have died long ago. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's face was livid as he kept cursing. Dark Underworld Heaven Monarch and General of Wind and Thunder were his main forces. Now that the Dark Heaven Monarch had been killed, he had lost a sharp saber, a saber that could help him kill his enemies at any time and do things that were inconvenient for him. With General of Wind and Thunder killed, Thundercliff was no longer a top force. They lost some power, and Thunderfire Heaven Monarch was truly alone. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch went to Sima Mansion once to talk with Mansion Master Sima, hoping that Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch would support him. However, Sima Mansion Master shook his head and refused. He did not want to interfere with his wife's matters. His wife was also in seclusion. In fact, Sima Mansion Master Sima Tiancheng already knew some things about Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. He agreed, but he could not let his wife get involved. After Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch came back from Night Sorrow and Datura's wedding, she told her husband about it. After knowing the whole story, Sima Tiancheng could only smile bitterly. He owed Thunderfire Heaven Monarch a favor. Even if he did not, he had to do it to the end. Previous chapter Sima Tiancheng accepted his decision. How could he let his cowardly wife do something against her will? It was absolutely impossible. Without any support, Thunderfire Heaven Monarch could only leave. He felt that there was not much hope. The East Alliance of the world of reincarnation had too many Sky Masters. He had already confirmed that the Black Fiend Valley had gone to Night Sorrow's side. No matter who became the city lord in the Qing Emperor's Dynasty Alliance, he would have the support of 7 Sky Masters. However, he only had 5, and 2 of them were puppets. After Thunderfire Heaven Monarch left, Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch appeared beside her husband. This guy's desire for fame and fortune is very strong. He has reached the point where he will do anything. Your support alone is not enough. You still have the cheek to ask for it. It's enough to know his character. After I help him this time, I will settle the karma. In the future, his matters will have nothing to do with our Sima mansion. Sima Tiancheng said. In the past, he respected Thunderfire Heaven Monarch because he was righteous and had a good reputation. Now that Thunderfire Heaven Monarch was defeated, he had nothing to say. Night Sorrow was fully aware of Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's actions. The disappointed Thunderfire Heaven Monarch could not hide it from the spies. It seems that you did not get the result you wanted, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sima Mansion's style of doing things is very righteous. Sima Tiancheng does things with principles. Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch went back and said these things. He will not let his wife get involved in this mess. Datura said. Wait for Uncle Xian Daozi's results. After confirming how many puppets there are, we can make a move. Night Sorrow said. Red Emperor and the others nodded. Night Sorrow's arrangement was very good. When it was launched, it would be a fatal blow. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch would not be able to resist. Then, everyone waited for news from Xian Daozi. As long as it was confirmed that there were 2 puppets, then the matter would be settled. Even if Yuan Dao Tian helped Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, it was useless. In terms of numbers, it was not as good as the eastern district of the world of reincarnation. 3 days later, Xian Daozi came. His condition was not very good. It was the after-effect of the divination. Sister-in-law, Your Highness, the results are out. There are 4 of these things in the world of reincarnation. No matter if they are complete or damaged, there are 4 of them in the world of reincarnation. Xian Daozi reported and handed the puppets to Datura. Last time one was destroyed. There is one here, which means that Sky Peak sect has 2. Junior brother, you can make a move. Sandalwood said. Chapter 1358. Well, let's do it. Drive him down and don't give him any chance to make trouble. Night Sorrow nodded. Look at Section B of Chapter 1 of the original version. Night Sorrow's original body, which was cultivating in the Samsara Palace, came out of the pagoda of time and space and bowed to the void. You just came back, right? You still want to go out? The old man incarnated by the origin of the Samsara Palace appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Senior, I request to advance the election of the city lord of the Samsara city. Night Sorrow bowed and said. So fast, that is to say, you are ready. You can complete the deployment in such a short time. I didn't misjudge you. Then let's hold the meeting in advance. The seal in Lei Hua's hands is invalid. The origin of Samsara Palace nodded. At this time, all the giants in the world of Samsara received the news that the next city lord would be elected 7 days later before the Samsara Palace. This was a notice from the origin of the world. Almost everyone in the world of Samsara knew about it. The Heaven Lord of Thunderfire was dumbfounded when he heard the notice. He didn't understand what was going on. What was going on? In the past, the election of the city lord was held once every 10 million years. Why was it advanced this time? Although it was only 1 million years earlier, it was advanced. This was a change in the rules. The Heaven Lord of Thunderfire knew he could only accept it and resign himself to fate. In the Sima mansion, Sima Tiancheng and his wife were drinking tea and talking when they received the notice. The rules have changed? The Heaven Lord of Thunderfire could be the origin of the Samsara Palace, but he would never and would not want to advance it. Because if it was advanced, he would lose. It seemed that the Qing Emperor's dynasty was really powerful and could influence the origin of the world of Samsara. But this pattern and this rule have existed for countless years. In other words, it was not the original people who changed it.
It was the new people who affected the pattern.
Sima Tiancheng thought and came to a conclusion. I met the husband of Datura.
He was a high-spirited young man with a body of comic virtue. Such a person would attract the attention of the world of reincarnation, and is currently being purged. The precious fragrance Heavenly Lord spoke. Regarding this matter, we need to explain to the Qing Emperor's imperial court. Our Sima residence is not unable to differentiate between right and wrong. This time, we supported the heavenly monarch of Thunderfire because we owe him a favor. Secondly, we are not clear about these matters. We are not afraid of explaining. We still need to differentiate between good and evil. Sima Tiancheng told his wife. Electing the city lord in advance before its time. Things are going to change at this time. I want to go out and take a look. On an island in the endless sea, a middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back. This was the Yuandao sky, and this man was the Yuandao heavenly monarch. The 9-layered pagoda was filled with jubilation. Knight Sorrow smiled as well. His true body continued to enter the space-time pagoda to cultivate. 7 days from now, we'll decide who's in charge of Samsara City. Now that the City Lord seal is no longer effective, we should go to Samsara City now. We don't want him to go crazy and cause us to suffer losses, said Yishan. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Misty Rain went to call for the Qing Emperor. The group rushed to Samsara City and stayed in Datura's courtyard in the Samsara Palace. Oh right, isn't the Burning Sky Tower Master in the Samsara City Lord Manor? Now that the City Lord seal of the Heavenly Monarch of Thunderfire is no longer effective, should we go in and kill him? Knight Sorrow asked. No, during the election of the City Lord of Samsara City, the Sky Pillars are not allowed to fight. Anyone who fights will not have a good ending. This is the rule of the world of Samsara. Datura said. Then we still have to keep an eye on him. After the election of the City Lord is over, we will go after him and kill him. Since he wants to fight with us, we will fight to the end. Knight Sorrow said. He did not like to procrastinate and did not want the existence of the Burning Sky Tower Master to become a threat. Leave it to me. My avatar will keep an eye on him. Datura said. Count me in as well. Crimson Emperor nodded. The Li brothers of the Black Fiend Valley also nodded. An opponent who had become a Sky Pillar was a threat if he was alive. If his original body was killed, this would be an irreconcilable hatred. Then, everyone waited for the meeting of the Sky Pillars in front of the Samsara Palace 7 days later. Thunderfire was in a bad mood. He had received news that 7 Sky Pillars had come from the Qing Emperor's dynasty alliance. This meant that he would lose for sure. In Samsara City, the Heavenly Monarch of Thunderfire had no chance to make a move, suppress, or collect assets because the Qing Emperor's dynasty alliance would not tolerate him. On the 2nd day after Knight Sorrow and the others arrived, someone came to visit them. It was the Heavenly Monarch of Precious Fragrance and Residence Master Sima. They were received by Datura because this was Datura's residence. Knight Sorrow did not go forward and avoided them. They were Sky Pillars, so the visit had nothing to do with him. Knight Sorrow went to the side of the courtyard and talked to Jun Xuanji. He asked about the current situation of the Qing Emperor's dynasty intelligence system. At this moment, a group of Sky Pillars was talking in the courtyard hall. Sima Tiancheng also explained and looked at the situation. Although we understand the situation, there is nothing we can do. People have to do and do not. We have to pay back what we owe. Brothers, I'm sorry. We understand this and it will not affect the following situation. Datura said. She understood that Sima Tiancheng came to explain because he did not want to cause any conflicts and misunderstandings. Where is your husband? Why did he come out? Heavenly Monarch of Precious Fragrance asked with a smile. He felt that it was inconvenient for him to talk with us. Datura said. Because of cultivation? Because it's not a Sky Master. You're overthinking it. There are a lot of Sky Masters now. You can grab a handful of them in this house. However, a high-level sovereign king over 100 years old is too rare. A virtuous body is even rarer. There won't be one for a very long time. From the analysis of the phrase, the rarer something is, the more difficult it is to achieve a virtuous body. Quickly invite him out. You didn't even come to our wedding. You don't have any sincerity to see him now. Someone, Go and call him. Datura shouted to the servant. After hearing the servant's explanation, Yi Shang understood and went to the main hall. After reaching the hall, Knight Sorrow cupped his hands to Sima Tiancheng and Heavenly Monarch of Precious Fragrance. Knight Sorrow greets the two Heavenly Monarchs. Knight Sorrow could not call himself a junior because he was Datura's husband. Very good. Datura, you have picked up a treasure. Heavenly Monarch of Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Yi Shang and Manor Head Sima chatted casually for a while. After inviting Knight Sorrow to Residence Master Sima as a guest, Sima Tiancheng and his wife left. After leaving Datura's residence, Sima Tiancheng shook his head. This young man is amazing. His cultivation is not enough, but his aura and aura have already formed. This world of reincarnation is his world. He is still far from it. Everyone below the sky pillar is an ant. It won't be too late to say this after he becomes a sky pillar. Heavenly Monarch of Precious Fragrance said. Some gifted demonic beasts have no bottlenecks. Wind and thunder can cultivate all the way to sky pillar without any bottlenecks. The three emperors of Zhanwu dynasty are the same. A virtuous body will be aided by luck. If one's talent is high and with continuous effort, they will have great achievements. Sima Tiancheng said. Chapter 1359. Perhaps. You are a good judge of character. Back then, everyone said that Invincible Commander Sandalwood was crippled. You told me that if Sandalwood didn't die, she would definitely be able to overcome this obstacle and her achievements would be limitless. Sandalwood is the only cultivator who became a heavenly lord in the past thousands of years. Cultivators were King Realm. 9 star kings at the peak of the realm were called sovereigns. Those who were beyond the sovereign realm and had yet to enter the 9th rank were called heavenly lords. Thunderfire Heaven Lord knew all of this, but he was powerless to change it. Sima Tiancheng had promised to support him, but he had his own circle of friends and wasn't his subordinate. Thunderfire Heaven Lord knew he had lost, and it was a crushing defeat. 7 days was a difficult time for everyone, because the day of the new city lord of Samsara City would be waiting. Knight Sorrow was certain that Sima residents would only have Sima Tiancheng's support. Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord wouldn't make a move. As for Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord, his appearance wouldn't affect the outcome. 7 days later, the group arrived at Samsara Palace. Many people had arrived. Although Thunderfire Heaven Lord was annoyed, he still arranged for a row of chairs. As long as the Heavenly Lords arrived, they would all have a seat. Knight Sorrow didn't have a seat because it was against the rules. There were many people here. 7 Heavenly Lords from the Qing Emperor's Dynasty Alliance came, and 2 from the Sima residence came. Thunderfire Heaven Lord and Fun Tian Tower Master came from the Celestial Sect. Both of them were riding Heavenly Lord level puppets. If they didn't use the puppets, they wouldn't be qualified to sit. Because there was no battle, Ling Tian and the other old man's heads were outside the puppets. Ling Tian's face was gloomy because he knew the situation wasn't good. With the sound of a bell, the origin of Samsara Palace appeared. Everyone stood up and bowed to the origin of Samsara Palace. All right, let's cut to the chase. I'm here today to see the election of your new city lord. The origin of Samsara Palace said. My lord, the election for the Samsara City Lord is held once every 10 million years. It's not time yet. Thunderfire Sky Lord bowed and said. He wanted to buy some time so that he could still have a chance. Knight Sorrow suggested that I move forward, so I decided to do so. Knight Sorrow, you're not doing well. You didn't even get a seat. The origin of Samsara Palace turned to look at Knight Sorrow. I'm not a heaven monarch yet. I'm not qualified to take a seat. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands and said. If I'm not mistaken, you've already become a virtue saint in your own world, right? Said the origin of Samsara Palace. Yes. Knight Sorrow nodded. Then how can you not have a seat? How can you not be qualified to sit with them? What kind of world was this? If I say you can have a seat, then you can have one. The sage of merit and virtue must be respected, even if it is me. The origin of Samsara Palace waved its hand, and a chair appeared behind Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow bowed again and sat down. Actually, I've thought about it. Actually, the sage of merit and virtue can be an exception. If you want to be the city lord, Then you can be the city lord. The origin of Samsara Palace looked at Knight Sorrow and said. The origin of Samsara Palace's words caused a commotion. What did it mean? As long as Knight Sorrow nodded, he would be the city lord of Samsara City and become the most powerful person in the world of Samsara. Senior, I'm sorry. I just want to be myself. Let's elect first and see the result. Knight Sorrow didn't reject directly. He wanted to see the result of the election. If there were no changes, then the Qing Emperor would be the city lord. If there were changes, he would stand out. Sorry, I want to be the city lord. The origin of Samsara Palace reached out and pointed at Knight Sorrow. He didn't say anything because this move was ruthless. It didn't matter whether he advanced or retreated. He was in an invincible position. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's eyes turned blue. He had lost completely. He didn't have enough support. He couldn't stall for time either. The origin of world of Samsara didn't give him a chance. At this moment, a figure flashed. A middle-aged man in a white robe, Yuandao Heaven Monarch, found a seat and sat down. Yuandao Heaven Monarch is here. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch cupped his hands towards Yuandao Heaven Monarch. I won't participate or intervene. I'm just here to take a look. You will elect your candidates. Yuandao Heaven Monarch cupped his hands towards Thunderfire. Then, he cupped his hands towards Qing Emperor and the others. Then let's start. Thunderfire, you are still the city lord. You will be the host. We will start with you. I will wait for the result. The origin of Samsara Palace said. I, Thunderfire Heaven Monarch, support my re-election as the city lord. Who do you support? Fan Tian Tower Master. Thunderfire first expressed his attitude and then looked at Fan Tian Tower Master. I support Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. Fan Tian Tower Master stood up and bowed to the origin of Samsara Palace. I have 2 supporters now. What about you, sect leader Ling? Thunderfire Heaven Monarch looked at Ling Tian. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch has been running Samsara City well these years. I naturally support him. Ling Tian sat down after finishing his words. Another Sky Peak sect elder also had the same opinion. Then, Thunderfire Heaven Monarch asked Sima Tiancheng. Sima Tiancheng sat in the middle of the 2 camps. If Thunderfire Heaven Monarch needs my support, I will support him. However, I have already repaid the favor from back then. Sima Tiancheng stood up and expressed his attitude before sitting down again. Everything else is #pirated #, only one original #pirated Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's face was a little ugly. Sima Tiancheng's words were very clear. After supporting you, you and I will be me. There will be no more entanglement. Now, 5 people support me for re-election. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch said to the origin of Samsara Palace. Continue. The origin of Samsara Palace didn't express any attitude. Thunderfire naturally supported him since he asked first. Lei Hua nodded and looked at the Crimson Emperor. It's my turn. Finally, it's my turn to disagree. I support Qing Emperor. Knight Sorrow is right. To live in this world, we need a clear and bright universe. Red Emperor sat down after speaking. Not only did he express his attitude, but he also attacked Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. I, Zhan Tan, support Master Qing Emperor to be the city lord of Samsara City. Zhan Tan, who was sitting next to Red Emperor, stood up and sat down after speaking. Valley Master Li, what about you? Think about it. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch looked at Li Tianba. Are you trying to scare me? Some time ago, you attacked my Black Fiend Valley's foundation in Samsara City. Now you want me to think about it? Think about it, my ass. I will support anyone but you. I support Qing Emperor. Li Tianba exploded after hearing Thunderfire Heaven Monarch's words. Be quiet. It won't happen. Datura, who was not far away, said. Thunderfire, if you don't call me, I will say it myself. I support Qing Emperor. Li Tianhu stood up and said. Then it was Datura's turn. However, Datura didn't stand up. He just looked at Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. Thunderfire Heaven Monarch took a deep breath. If he didn't speak, Datura wouldn't stand up. If he didn't stand up, the election wouldn't go on. The origin of Samsara Palace let him preside over it. The 7th watch arrived. Chapter 1360. Datura, what's your opinion? Who do you support? Thunderfire Heaven Lord could only ask. Please call me Dark Master. You can't call me by my name. I support Qing Emperor. Datura stood up and bowed to the origin of samsara. Crimson Emperor, Li Tianba, Li Tianhu, Sandalwood, and Mandela. In the blink of an eye, 5 of them supported the Azure the Arch. They were already on par with the Thunderfire Heaven Monarch. Only Heavenly Monarch Yu Fei, the Azure the Arch, and Yuandao Heavenly Monarch had yet to express their opinions. At this time, Thunderfire Heaven Lord did not shout. Misty Rain stood up and bowed to the origin of Samsara Palace. Then she expressed her opinion. Naturally, she supported Qing Emperor. More than one person. At this time, Qing Emperor had more supporters than Thunderfire Heaven Lord. There was no hope. Although Thunderfire Heaven Lord knew that he had lost, he still could not accept the fact in front of him. Qing Emperor naturally supported him. It was already 7-5. Qing Emperor's support exceeded Thunderfire Heaven Lord's by 2 votes. Yuandao Lord of Heaven was the last person. Don't look at me. I won't participate or intervene. I'm just here to watch. Besides, my vote can't change the situation. Yuandao Lord of Heaven said. My lord, Qing Emperor and 7 people support you. Thunderfire Heaven Lord's voice was a little low. A just cause enjoys abundant support while an unjust cause finds little support. You should have known. Take out the Castellan seal. The origin of world of Samsara said to Thunderfire Heaven Lord. The origin of Samsara had been dissatisfied with Thunderfire Heaven Lord for a long time. But because of the original rules, he was too lazy to care. Now, under the original rules, Thunderfire Heaven Lord's failure was also a scene he wanted to see. Thunderfire Heaven Lord handed the Castellan seal to the origin of Samsara. The origin of Samsara waved his hand and injected energy into the Castellan seal. Then he handed it to Qing Emperor. Learn from your mistakes. Remember. After saying that, the origin of Samsara turned around and flashed into the Samsara Palace. He didn't need to ask about what happened next. Arrow, is the City Lord election over? Night Sorrow asked Datura. It's done. Datura nodded. If there are no more restrictions, then what are we waiting for? Kill him. Night Sorrow's body flashed as he spoke. He rushed in front of Burning Heaven Tower Master, who had yet to recover from the loss of the Thunderfire. Then, he unleashed the Great Emperor Samsara Slash. Night Sorrow was as calm as a mountain and as swift as a thunderclap. This was the current Night Sorrow, who had made his move without any warning. A deep purple-colored halo enveloped Burning Heaven Tower Master. Night Sorrow's splitting space carried a profound aura as it charged towards Burning Heaven Tower Master. While unleashing the Great Emperor Samsara Slash, Night Sorrow also activated the Soul Destruction Slash. He also used the Spatial Rend. A deep purple crescent blade and a black spatial rend flew towards Burning Heaven Tower Master. Night Sorrow didn't want to give Burning Heaven Tower Master a chance. Burning Heaven Tower Master would seek revenge as long as he was alive. Night Sorrow's soul power had already surpassed the Overlord level. The stronger the soul power, the more powerful the ultimate skill would be. When Burning Heaven Tower Master broke free from the purple halo's influence and waved his sword to block, Night Sorrow's splitting space was right in front of him. Without a sound, Burning Heaven Tower Master's weapon was broken. To be precise, it was melted into nothingness. The middle section of the battle sword was melted into nothingness. Burning Heaven Tower Master's expression changed drastically. He threw a punch with his left hand and hit Splitting Space. However, he was sent flying by Splitting Space's energy. Night Sorrow had used the Void Extreme Slash. Its penetrating power was tyrannical. It had already destroyed the tendons in Burning Heaven Tower Master's left arm. At this time, the Soul Destruction Slash's crescent blade flew towards Burning Heaven Tower Master's head. It was going to cut into his immortal sea and kill him. However, Burning Heaven Tower Master, who had recovered, had a green halo appear on his head. It kept shaking. It blocked Night Sorrow's Soul Destruction Slash's crescent blade attack. At the same time, he moved his body and dodged the spatial rend. Death Destruction Slash. Night Sorrow, who was quickly approaching, used his ultimate skill again. The black halo enveloped Burning Heaven Tower Master. Splitting space seemed to have penetrated through space. It instantly appeared in front of Burning Heaven Tower Master and penetrated his protective shield. It slammed into the armor that Burning Heaven Tower Master had just put up. It directly shattered the armor. At this time, Knight Sorrow had the support of the Sovereign Attribute Void Willpower and the Space-Time Willpower. His attack power had surpassed the Overlord level. He was between the Overlord level and the Overlord level. Burning Heaven Tower Master's armor was Overlord level. However, it couldn't block Knight Sorrow's fierce attack. Shock! All the Overlords were shocked. All the cultivators in the Samsara Palace Square were shocked. In the endless years, no Overlord had dared to challenge a Overlord. Not a single one. It was because the two were not on the same level. There was a saying that everyone below the Overlords were ants. It was easy for an Overlord to kill an Overlord. But now, it was still King. Knight Sorrow, who hadn't entered the Overlord level yet, had attacked a Overlord. Both of his attacks were effective. Knight Sorrow's first attack broke Burning Heaven Tower Master's weapon. The second attack broke Burning Heaven Tower Master's armor. It was simply brutal. At this time, Dachira also attacked. She was a little stunned by Knight Sorrow. The reincarnation origin had just left, and this side had already started killing people. She recovered and naturally attacked. When Dachira attacked, Knight Sorrow didn't continue attacking. This was because Dachira didn't need anyone's help to kill Burning Heaven Tower Master. Pathetic. Burning Heaven Tower Master was in a pathetic state. Dachira's beautiful hollow knife was like the sharp blade in the hand of the Grim Reaper. It was used to reap lives. After a while, Burning Heaven Tower Master's body was stabbed. His body was covered in blood. Thunderfire Heaven Lord wanted to help because Burning Heaven Tower Master was his subordinate. However, he couldn't. Sandalwood was standing in front of him with a knife in one hand. Red Emperor, Li Tianba, and the others all had weapons in their hands. If Thunderfire Heaven Lord moved, it would be a huge battle. He didn't dare. Sandalwood was a new overlord, but her combat power was definitely one of the best among the overlords. In addition, the reason why Heaven Lord of Thunderfire and Ling Tian did not dare to move was that Xian the Arch had already recognized the city leader's seal as its owner. At this time, Xian the Arch could control the origin energy of Samsara Palace. No one here was Xian Thearka's opponent. Qing Emperor looked at Knight Sorrow. Very good. It's just a little lacking. Give it some more time and it will be fine. Knight Sorrow nodded and continued to look at the battlefield. Dachira, who was wearing a black dress embroidered with golden Dachira, was very domineering when she attacked. Every move was filled with beauty. Burning Heaven Tower Master was in a pathetic state. He was stabbed more and more and his condition naturally declined. Is it fun to team up with others and attack the Eastern District of the world of Samsara? Original Z version. First release. Do you think the Eastern District of the world of Samsara is easy to bully? Mandela cursed him every time he swung his saber. Hee. Knight Sorrow, she doesn't scold you usually, right? Precious Fragrance Heaven Lord looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. No, Aluo is usually very gentle and never loses her temper. This person deserves to be killed, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 1361. Knight Sorrow felt very blissful because Dachira was very gentle to him. She was domineering outside, but not at home. She was the high and mighty Dark Dominator. She was domineering outside, but she was gentle to Knight Sorrow because of her feelings for him. The battle continued, but Fun Tian Tower Master was on the verge of collapsing. His arms and legs were broken, his weapon was gone, and his armor was shattered. What could he use to fight with Dachira? Dachira's left sleeve shook violently. Then, the hollow blade in her right hand slashed out in an arc. The blade cut Fun Tian Tower Master's head open, his spirit sea shattered, and his nascent soul was destroyed. Dachira checked Fun Tian Tower Master's storage ring and nodded to Knight Sorrow. He is completely dead. There are no doppelgangers. Knight Sorrow smiled and nodded to Dachira. Behave yourselves. I will kill anyone who offends my husband. Dachira looked at Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire with murderous eyes. If it was an ordinary man, he would be looked down upon by his wife because he lived off her. However, no one would look down on Knight Sorrow. Sovereign King, with just the cultivation of a sovereign king, he dared to attack a Heaven Pillar powerhouse, destroying the weapon and armor of a Heaven Pillar powerhouse in 2 moves. This was a display of strength. Who could look down on him? Jean Tan, go back and bring people to take over the City Lord Mansion. Only people are allowed to leave. No one is allowed to touch a single blade of grass in the mansion. Qing Emperor said to Jean Tan. Jean Tan nodded. She knew it was done. From today onwards, Reincarnation City would have a new owner. The only original VL. The others are all pirated copies. Qing Emperor, don't go too far. Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire stared at Qing Emperor. Lightning Fire Heaven Monarch, go back to your Thunder Dao Cliff and be a proper person. Then we can let bygones be bygones. If you think you can do it, then jump and try. If I dare to touch Burning Heaven Tower Lord, then I dare to kill you. Before Qing Emperor could speak, Night Sorrow spoke up. The Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire snorted and turned around to fly out of the city. He had nothing to do with the City Lord Mansion anymore. He would not be allowed to enter again. As for those who were related to him, they would be expelled. There was no need for him to pick them up. Night Sorrow, although you don't want to do it, there are some things that I still need you to arrange. For the time being, go to the City Lord's mansion and help me with this critical period. Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and said. He knew that he could handle the matters of the alliance, but he wasn't as reliable as Night Sorrow. I'll follow Master's arrangements. Night Sorrow nodded. Then it's settled. I invite everyone to the City Lord's mansion. There are still good wine and tea. Qing Emperor cupped his hands towards the group of giants. Ling Tian didn't say anything and left with another elder. He was too embarrassed to support the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire. Since the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire didn't have the face to stay, he naturally didn't have the face to stay either. Then, everyone dispersed. Qing Emperor brought a group of people to the City Lord's mansion. However, Night Sorrow didn't go. He and Datura went to the original courtyard. That was Datura's property. Night Sorrow, you were too reckless today. You are very strong, but there is still a gap between you and a giant. There is a gap in your comprehension of will, realm and energy. You need to cultivate for a few more days. Datura said. He was worried about Night Sorrow. Okay, I will pay attention. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that Datura was worried about him. You were very domineering today. All the cultivators in the world of reincarnation know that a king destroyed the giant's weapon and armor. No matter how many years have passed, this will be a heavy stroke in history. It will be an inspiration for the future generations. Datura said. Night Sorrow just smiled. In fact, he didn't think about this. At that time, he just felt that he couldn't let Fantion Tower Lord run away. If he ran away, it would be troublesome. Therefore he took action. Now it's stable. Your master is the City Lord of Reincarnation City. He has absolute control over the power struggle. The Celestial Sect also has to tuck their tail between their legs. They have trump cards. Your master has the City Lord Seal of Reincarnation City, which is a treasure with the Origin attack. Does the Celestial Sect dare to try their trump card to fight against the Origin of Reincarnation? They don't dare to try, Datura said. This is great news. Even if the Zhanwu dynasty wants to start a war, the Qing Emperor's dynasty won't be too passive. Night Sorrow said. Datura was a little stunned. She knew that people from the Zhanwu dynasty came to attend her and Night Sorrow's wedding. However, she didn't know why they left before the wedding. Night Sorrow then told Datura what happened at that time. Shameless. What do you think other people's daughters are? You're asking for a beating. You've never been taken advantage of before. Once you've been taken advantage of, you'll be honest. Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. He had the same idea. Just like Yi Qingyan, if they were in love with each other, he wouldn't care. However, if anyone dared to have designs on his daughter, he would kill them all. A group of people were drinking tea and chatting in the City Lord's mansion. City Lord Qing Emperor, you've taken in 2 good disciples. Lord Yuandao said. It's mainly because the 2 of them are hard-working. Brother Yuandao doesn't come out often, so we don't have much time to talk, Qing Emperor said. For countless years, We have been trying to find a way to break through. However, we just couldn't figure it out. But then again it makes sense. After so many years, no one has been able to make any progress. It's just too difficult. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. The step he was referring to was a breakthrough. A breakthrough to level 9. Let's go and take a look. Perhaps the opportunity will come, Qing Emperor said. Actually, there are some things that I didn't say or communicate with others. In fact, Yuan Daotian's existence is to guard a spatial tunnel. Yuan Daotian's ancestor has ordered that Yuan Daotian's existence is to guard it. Now that I'm under pressure, I'm telling the city lord. If we really can't handle it, we'll need the city lord's help, Yuan Daotian said. What's on the other side of the spatial tunnel? Sima Tiancheng asked. I don't know. Through the seal, we can see demons. Those demons are different from the demons in the dark abyss. They're more ferocious, Lord Yuan Dao said. As long as we're united in the world of reincarnation, anything can be solved. If you need help, Lord Yuan Dao, just say the word. Qing Emperor said. Okay. Lord Yuan Dao nodded. During the banquet, the city lord's mansion sent someone to invite Knight Sorrow and Datura. Sima Tiancheng and Lord Yuan Dao might not know, but everyone in the Qing Emperor's dynasty alliance knew that Knight Sorrow was the alliance leader. Everyone also knew that Knight Sorrow refused to be the city lord of Reincarnation City. If Knight Sorrow wanted it, he wouldn't need it. The origin of reincarnation would approve of it. After Knight Sorrow and Datura arrived, the banquet began. Lord Yuan Dao sat down at Knight Sorrow's table. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Datura, he looked at Knight Sorrow and communicated with Knight Sorrow. If you have time, come visit Yuan Daotian. This is a map. This is the first time Yuan Daotian has issued a map. Find it and you'll be able to reach Yuan Daotian, Lord Yuan Dao said. Chapter 1362. All right, I'll definitely visit Yuan Dao Celestial when I have time, said Knight Sorrow. All right, bring the Dark Dominator along. I'll be the host. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch nodded. Yuan Dao Celestial had not interacted with the outside world for many years. Now that they had taken out a map of their sect and given it to Knight Sorrow, it was a sign of goodwill. Brother Yuan Dao Celestial can also come out and develop. This reincarnation city is everyone's reincarnation city, said Qing Emperor. All right, I'll think about it. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch nodded. Recently, the world of reincarnation has been in turmoil. I can't say who's right and who's wrong, but there are still some things that need to be dealt with. Heaven Seizing Island, Burning Sky Towers area in Reincarnation City, and Thunderfire's property. I'll take them out and distribute them. Qing Emperor's dynasty won't take any more, but our allies in the empty areas should have some. Yuan Dao Celestial didn't have a share in the past, so it's only right that they have a share, said Qing Emperor. Haha, then I'll thank Brother Qing. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch laughed. Knight Sorrow, you're also someone with your own world. Don't you want some territory to develop? Our Black Fiend Valley can give you some. Li Tianba looked at Knight Sorrow and said, There's no need for that, but there's a suitable place. I'm planning to buy a tea house. When the time comes, we can all have tea together. It'll be free of charge. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. Latest chapter. Section. Part 1 That's a good idea. Our Sima residence has a tea house near the teleportation formation. The location is pretty good. I'll give it to you. Sima Tiancheng said. Really? Then it would be impolite for me to refuse. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands at Sima Tiancheng. A tea house was nothing to a top force, but Sima Tiancheng's offer was a sign of goodwill. It wouldn't be appropriate to reject it. It was tantamount to keeping people 1,000 miles away. During the banquet, everyone had a good chat. They also discussed the new share of the Samsara city for all forces. Everyone was happy. The time of the Samsara palace was also redistributed. Since the Qing Emperor's dynasty had the most magnates, he had the most share. After drinking, Knight Sorrow and Datura returned to Datura's courtyard. Knight Sorrow, everyone is happy now. That heavenly monarch of Thunderfire and Ling Tian should be more well-behaved because they no longer have the capital to jump. Datura said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Now, The Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire should be afraid. He was afraid that the Qing Emperor and the Dynasty Alliance would give him a ruthless blow. If that happened, his Thundercliff would be destroyed. Knight Sorrow reckoned that the Heavenly Lord of Thunderfire would not dare to stay in the Thundercliff. As for Ling Tian, his previous trump card was very powerful, but he didn't dare to challenge the Samsara City Lord. The Samsara City Lord controlled the City Lord's seal, which was a treasure with the original will and original energy. Knight Sorrow and Datura chatted. Both of them were very relaxed now. Knight Sorrow, I know about your relationship with Shueshi. You can't continue like this. Datura started to talk about family matters. This is my fault. It has been like this for many years. I feel guilty. She didn't want to marry me in the past. That time, I proposed to her and she agreed. Later on, because our engagement was approaching, she said we would talk about it later. In the end, she kept postponing it. Knight Sorrow was a little guilty. Then find a time to hold the wedding. Actually, you should marry us together, Datura said. I've thought about it and asked her. If she thinks it's okay, I'll tell you and let you suffer a little. Then we'll do it together. I believe you'll understand. But she doesn't think it's appropriate, so we keep delaying it, Yishan said. Let me handle this. I know you are tired. I will take care of the family matters, Datura said. Knight Sorrow nodded at Datura. Datura's understanding made Knight Sorrow feel relieved. But your original body is in seclusion again, Datura said. It doesn't matter. We have been together for many years. To put it bluntly, we are already an old couple. It's just that we don't have a title, Knight Sorrow said. Hee, you are really something. You have harmed her for so many years, but you didn't marry her. Datura rolled his eyes at Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow was speechless. He didn't want to harm anyone. While the two were drinking tea, Sima Tiancheng sent someone to deliver a restaurant's deed and land deed. He gave the best location of the Sima mansion to Knight Sorrow. Let's go and see our family's property. Knight Sorrow nodded at Datura. Then, under the guidance of the Sima mansion's entourage, Knight Sorrow and Datura went to a restaurant not far from the transmission array square. It was very imposing. It had 4 floors and occupied a lot of ground. It was surrounded by attics and in the middle was a water pavilion. There were also some small tables. The style was very good. Sir, this is a complete set. Behind the restaurant is a mansion. The scenery is also good. The Sima mansion's entourage said to Knight Sorrow. After looking around, Knight Sorrow liked it very much. He felt that it was inappropriate to take advantage of the Sima mansion, so he took out 2 soft jade tendon pills. Bring this back to your Sima mansion's master. Tell him that Knight Sorrow thanks him for his generosity. Knight Sorrow took out a storage ring and made an imprint, then said to the Sima mansion's entourage. The Sima mansion's entourage left with the people who were originally in the restaurant. Datura left for a while and brought some people over. They were the people who managed the Dark Abyss property. Knight Sorrow then looked at the mansion. The layout of the mansion was very good and the level was high. The furnishings and decorations also cost a lot. This was enough to see that Sima Tiancheng was very sincere. Yi Shang's return gift was also very heavy. The nephrite tendons and bones was an extraordinary medicinal pill that could not be exchanged for several tea houses and mansions like this. It was a miraculous item that could increase one's strength. Knight Sorrow didn't want to owe anyone a favor. In addition, he felt that Sima Tiancheng was very good. The other party wanted to make friends with him, so he should give him a gift. Knight Sorrow didn't have any thoughts of doing business, but he felt that it was good to have a foothold. This place was safe because Reincarnation City was under the control of the Qing Emperor. No one could mess around here. Datura also called 2 maids to clean the mansion. At this time, in another courtyard in Reincarnation City, the Sima mansion servant handed Knight Sorrow's storage ring to Sima Tiancheng. Sima Tiancheng casually opened the storage ring. Feeling that it was Sima mansion's master, the soul imprint that Knight Sorrow left behind disappeared. Knight Sorrow left a soul imprint on the storage ring mainly because he didn't want this pill to be stolen. There were only 2 jade bottles in the storage ring. After opening them and studying them, Sima Tiancheng's face changed. Did Knight Sorrow say anything else? He just asked me to bring this back and tell Mansion Master that he is grateful for the generosity. He didn't say anything else. The Sima Mansion servant said. Lu Xiang, how should we deal with this? Sima Tiancheng looked at his wife. The 10th chapter arrived. Chapter 1363. What do you mean? What kind of pill is it? Lord of Precious Fragrance asked. It's a soft jade muscle pill that can strengthen the dantian and meridians. It can fundamentally change a cultivator's potential. Sima Tiancheng said. Are you sure it's a soft jade muscle pill? Lord of Precious Fragrance looked at her husband and asked. You don't know much about pills, but your husband is a heavenly master alchemist. I've never refined or seen a soft jade muscle pill, but I've read about it in the ancient books. I know the shape, color, and medicinal properties. This can't be wrong. Sima Tiancheng said. How generous. How did this guy do this? Lord of Precious Fragrance was a little puzzled because the soft jade muscle pill was extremely valuable. Principle. This is his principle. He doesn't take advantage of others, and he doesn't owe others. But this way we will owe him. Sima Tiancheng said. It's not appropriate to return it. It shows that we don't have the sincerity to be friends with him. Lord of Precious Fragrance said. It said that people with a virtuous body are imperceptibly close to the heavenly Tao. The facts have proven that this is the case. This guy is generous to us, but at the same time, he has an invisible knife that we have to accept. If something happens to him in the future, we can't just stand by and watch. Sima Tiancheng said with a bitter smile. Okay, we also got a bargain. We can't exchange the soft jade muscle pill with resources. Lord of Precious Fragrance poured a cup of tea for her husband and said. Sima Tiancheng nodded. Although the soft jade muscle pill was a little hot, he had to accept it. Night Sorrow and Datura strolled in the night of Samsara City. Datura held Night Sorrow's arm. She didn't look like a giant at all. She was a gentle and peerless beauty. The two walked on the street like ordinary people. It was raining. Night Sorrow planned to buy 2 umbrellas. But Datura only allowed him to buy 1. Night Sorrow smiled and bought 1. If they wanted to, they didn't need an umbrella at all. Not to mention the rain, even a knife couldn't get close. Back then when I first came to the human world, I saw a couple who looked like this. I was very envious. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said. In the future, as long as you want, I will accompany you. Just like today, strolling in the rain. Night Sorrow nodded and said. Don't favor one and discriminate against the other. There are still a few at home, Datura said with a smile. The latest LP coming soon. I will. I know it's not easy for them. I've neglected them a little, but that's not my intention. If I work harder now, I can give them a more stable sky, Night Sorrow said. The girls and I understand you, so you don't have to bear any pressure. Datura tightened her grip on Night Sorrow's arm. Night Sorrow was glad that his wife understood him. What a husband and wife needed was this kind of understanding and support. What kind of elixir did you give Sima Tiancheng in return? Datura thought of today's matter. 2 soft jade tendon pills, Night Sorrow said. Your return gift is too expensive. Datura was a little surprised. We can't owe them anything. Besides, politeness demands reciprocity. That couple is a good person. They're the kind of people who keep to their word. They're worth befriending, said Yishang. But they will feel that they owe you. Datura said with a smile. That's their business, not mine. Night Sorrow laughed because this feeling was very good. Datura also laughed. Night Sorrow's atmosphere did bring pressure to Sima Tiancheng. The two strolled around and returned to the mansion behind the restaurant to rest. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow ran back to Chia City and found Chen. Brother, I found a good place to open a tea house. Now, please be the boss. Night Sorrow shouted as soon as he entered the tea house. A good place in your eyes must be very good. Take me there. Chen said. His dream was to be a successful businessman. Then Night Sorrow took Chen to Samsara City and went to his own tea house. It's great that there is such a place in such a big city. It's good to open a tea house here. It's boring if you don't open a restaurant. Chen Chen said excitedly. Well, from today onwards, you are the boss here. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, the place is yours. I'll run it. You take 70% of the income and I take 30%. Chen Chen began to calculate directly. Brother, you don't need it. You know I don't need it. Night Sorrow said. You don't care about your big business, but I care. I'll work hard and make some pocket money for my nephew and niece. In fact, when you do business to a certain level, making money is secondary. It's just a hobby and I like the process. Chen Chen said with a smile. The tea house was handed over to Chen Chen and Night Sorrow did not care about it. Night Sorrow returned to the Nine Chong building and found Jun Xuanji. He asked Jun Xuanji to pay attention to the movements of the Celestial Sect and the Thundercliff. Then Night Sorrow and Datura returned to the city in the sky. There was nothing to do in Samsara City. When the banquet was held in the City Lord's mansion that day, some things in Samsara City were distributed. The cultivation time of the Samsara Palace was also adjusted. Everyone was happy. So Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about. After returning to the city in the sky, Night Sorrow told his parents that he would hold a make-up wedding for Xue Shi. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were naturally happy. After setting a date, they began to arrange it. However, Xue Shi didn't want to make it a big deal. Her family could just hold a banquet and have a meal. Night Sorrow respected Xue Shi's opinion. Xue Shi was not a high-profile person. The situation was stable. Night Sorrow rested and accompanied his family. As for the search for the missing part of the Pagoda of Time and Space, Night Sorrow thought it could wait. In addition, Night Sorrow took out the golden man he had obtained in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion and gave it to Sikong Chuyu to refine. Aoi had the small space world and the ability to protect herself. Yang Lei was straightforward. She did not study alchemy, refining weapons, or formations. However, Sikong Chuyu studied formations. Night Sorrow asked Sikong Chuyu to refine it. To Night Sorrow, a monarch-rank golden man bodyguard was not significant. Peaceful days were very comfortable. Night Sorrow spent every day with his family and studied formations. His true body cultivated diligently, while Night Sorrow's clone cultivated some skillful things. 3 years passed quickly. On Night Sorrow's day, Jun Xuanji came when he was drawing the formation diagram. What's the matter? Night Sorrow looked up at Jun Xuanji. Yes, it's a mess. I don't know when the Thunderfire Heaven Lord and the people from the Shenwu Great World came. They have declared war on us. Moreover, the people from the Shenwu Great World have already set up camp at the Thundercliff. Things are out of control, Jun Xuanji said. It's only a matter of time. Conflicts will erupt. The root of the problem is not solved yet, Night Sorrow said. Since they are here, let's fight. Make us look bad. Let's see who will look worse in the end, Datura walked over and said. Chapter 1364. Unsealed. Cool net. Authentic. Declaring war is contempt. We won't accept such contempt. No one can look down on us, Night Sorrow said. That's right. No one can. Datura nodded. Then let's go back. I've only been able to live a peaceful life for 3 years. How troublesome. Yi Shang stretched and then went to tell his parents and wife that he had something to do. Then, he and Mandela took the teleportation formation to the 9 stories building, and then took the teleportation formation to Samsara City. Night Sorrow and Datura went straight to the City Lord's mansion. There were many people in the City Lord's mansion, including the leaders who attended the banquet last time. Everyone nodded when they saw Night Sorrow and Datura. Qing Emperor then told them about the current situation. This time, it wasn't just the War Tiger dynasty. The Shenwu Great World's Martial Sacred Palace and several other top forces also took action. The War Tiger dynasty was the #1 force in the Shenwu Great World. Its actions could affect the decisions of other forces. If they followed a path, they might be able to get some benefits. If they didn't, they would be viewed as enemies. This was the way of the world. For benefits and self-protection, one had to go with the flow. Of course, the personality of the leader of the force was also the main factor. Thunderfire Heaven Lord, this traitor, is too hateful. Red Emperor said. I didn't expect this. Now that Thunderfire has done this, Thundercliff will become a stronghold for the Shenwu Great World to attack us. We haven't even started the battle and they've already invaded. Sima Tiancheng said. I'm sorry. Actually, this was caused by me and the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Qing Emperor cupped his hands to everyone. What's going on? Li Tianba asked. Qing Emperor then told them what happened before Night Sorrow's wedding. If they go too far, we can't tolerate it. Qing Emperor, if you tolerate it, we will all feel ashamed, Red Emperor said. We strive, we work hard, and we want to achieve great things. Why? He did it for the sake of his reputation and for the sake of his family members. What was the fierce tiger Celestial Lord? Let's fight then. Sima Tiancheng said. Thank you for your understanding. Let's make some arrangements first. We can't afford to be disrupted, Qing Emperor said. Haha. We have a master tactician here. Night Sorrow, what do you think? Red Emperor asked Night Sorrow with a smile. I'll just listen. When you need me to fight, I'll fight, Night Sorrow said. Don't be humble. This is a huge matter. Everyone in the world of reincarnation is responsible for it. Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Yes, Night Sorrow, tell us about it. Qing Emperor nodded. He believed in Night Sorrow's talent. I admire your tactics. Li Tianba supported Night Sorrow. Then I'll tell you. Then let me tell you. First of all, we need to know that this war won't end in a short period of time. Therefore, we need to be prepared for a long war. Another thing is about internal harmony and unity. Thunderfire Lord has ruled Samsara City for a long time and has a great influence. Our internal harmony is very important. We can't have a traitor, Yishan said. That makes sense. Continue. Qing Emperor nodded. I'm not targeting anyone. Will Sky Sect be on the same side as Thunderfire Heaven Lord? Will they attack us? We need to figure it out. Otherwise, we will be attacked from both sides, Night Sorrow said. It's hard to say. We need to be on guard, Sima Tiancheng said. That's a problem. If they want to attack us, they will attack us. If we want to attack them, we will attack them. Since we want to fight, we will fight to our heart's content. We also need to be prepared to fight all the way to Shenwu Great World, Night Sorrow said. There's no chance. Shenwu Great World has closed the transmission formation that connects to Reincarnation City. Currently, only Thundercliff has a transmission formation that connects to Shenwu Great World, Lord of Precious Fragrance, who had been silent, said. That's fast. Has the transmission formation between Xuanhuan Great World and Shenwu Great World been closed? If it hasn't, quickly go to Shenwu Great World and set up a few secret transmission formations. That way, we can kill our way in whenever we want, Night Sorrow said. Xiandaozi, go and take a look. If possible, set up a transmission formation. Here are 2 pieces of top-grade transmission crystals. Qing Emperor took out 2 transmission crystals and gave them to Xiandaozi. Okay, I'll do it, Xiandaozi said and left. If it works, we won't be too passive, Night Sorrow said. They won't close the transmission formation to Xuanhuan Great World so quickly. After all, they are fighting with us. It has nothing to do with Xuanhuan Great World, Qing Emperor said. If not, then it's easy. Next, Master, you can study the strength of the other side and then formulate tactics. Night Sorrow said the most important points and then cupped his hands to everyone. Then Qing Emperor made some arrangements, mainly to investigate the strength of the other side. Night Sorrow and Datura also returned to the mansion behind the heart-cleansing tea house. Night Sorrow, what do you think of this war? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. It's nothing. They want to take down our world of reincarnation? Obviously not. We're just trying to take advantage of them. If Uncle Xiandaozi can set up a transmission formation, we won't be passive at all. If not, then we'll have to think of something else, Night Sorrow said. The War Tiger dynasty is very strong. If it was the world of reincarnation in the past, it wouldn't be easy to resist them. The 3 royal lords of the War Tiger dynasty are all experts among the Heaven Masters. Ordinary Heaven Masters wouldn't be able to resist them. But after you appeared, you brought the soul cultivation liquid and the cultivation method of not leaking real body. The strength of the Heaven Masters in our world of reincarnation increased, making up for the difference, said Mandela. Aluo, if there's a battle, you must be careful. Don't be reckless, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. Before you appeared, I was not afraid of any sky pillars. After you gave me the soul cultivation liquid, my strength increased by 20%. After cultivating the secret of real body, my strength increased again. The soft jade muscle pill also strengthened my body. I can fight and kill whoever comes, Dachura said. My master's body is not very good now. Apart from you, who else is strong? Night Sorrow asked. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord is strong, but he might not participate in the war. Another is your senior brother, Sandalwood. Among the sky pillars, his combat strength should be the strongest. His attributes are the best at fighting head-on. In addition, he also used the soul cultivation liquid and cultivated the secret of real body. If an ordinary sky pillar goes against him, they will definitely be killed if they don't have a life-saving lost art, Dachura said. Then what will happen if senior brother fights with the strongest in Shenwu Great World? Night Sorrow asked. This was the topic that Night Sorrow was most concerned about. The most important thing in a war was which side was the strongest. Speak. Second update. Thank you, Boss P, and the other two brothers for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1365. It's hard to say. There are many external factors in a battle. The emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty, Lord God Hu, is very strong and has killed other sky masters. I'm confident that I can stop him. As for whether I can kill him or lose, it's hard to say. Your brother should be in the same situation, Dachura said. I know. As long as I'm not at a disadvantage, it's fine, Night Sorrow said. Dachura nodded. She was very confident. There was only so much room for improvement for Sky Masters. She had almost reached the limit, and Sandalwood was the same. Night Sorrow was still a little anxious. He had cultivated in the space-time pagoda for 3 years and the real world for 60 years, but he still hadn't reached the monarch realm. The further one progressed, the more difficult it would be to comprehend willpower. That was because one had already comprehended the easy parts, and the rest was extremely difficult. There was another reason. There were only so many willpower in the world. It was like a bucket full of water. It was easier to draw water with a ladle in the beginning, but later on, no amount of water would be drawn. What are you thinking about? Dachura asked. I've cultivated in the real world for 3 years, and in the space-time pagoda for 60 years, but my willpower hasn't reached the monarch realm. Night Sorrow sighed. Dachura laughed. She leaned forward and back and patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. It's only been 60 years. If you can make King Monarch in 60 years, there will be monarchs everywhere. Yeah. I'm a little anxious. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that time wasn't enough. No matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are, you need time to accumulate. This is the law, Dachura said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Samsara Palace took good care of him. The display of willpower was very strong, and it was a display of various forms. It was very easy to understand and accept, but it couldn't change the law of time. However, in these 60 years, Night Sorrow had also reaped great benefits. His willpower of space-time had reached the middle stage of king level, and his willpower of nothingness had reached the middle stage of king level. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Dachura looked outside and walked to the entrance of the mansion. Sikong Tiancheng and Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance had arrived. Heavenly Monarchs, this way please. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted them. Good. The Cleansing Heart Tea House is good. It's very famous now. The Cleansing Heart Tea is unique. This place has been wasted in my hands for so many years. Sima Tiancheng took his wife into the courtyard. Night Sorrow thanks Manor Head Sima for your generosity. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then, he led Sima Tiancheng and Lord of Precious Fragrance into the mansion and brewed tea. Night Sorrow, you're wrong. This tea house was given to you by me. You don't need to return the favor. If you return the favor, I will have to accept it and owe you a favor. Sima Tiancheng said after sitting down. It's nothing. Courtesy demands reciprocity. Manor Head is generous. Night Sorrow also needs to show some appreciation. Night Sorrow smiled. He didn't expect Sima Tiancheng to be so direct. The only genuine one, the others are all pirated, haha. Soft jade tendon pill is a good thing. It's a pill that can only be found by chance. Owing a favor is nothing. You and Lei Hua are different people. Sima Tiancheng said. Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch and Mandela were friends and naturally got along well. Yi Shang and Sima Tiancheng also had a good chat. After chatting for a while, Sima Tiancheng and Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch left. After sending the two off, Night Sorrow and Dachura went to the tea house and drank tea while looking at the street outside. What are you thinking about? Dachura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I'm wondering if Sky Peak Sect is working together with Lei Hua Tiancheng. Night Sorrow said. I can't say for sure. Because no one knows what Ling Tian, this despicable person, will do. But we must be vigilant. Dachura said. No one could be sure about this. Ling Tian was a despicable person who would do anything. This is an unstable factor. But we can't do anything to them now. It's morally untenable. Besides, we can't bear the impact when the war is coming. Night Sorrow said helplessly. The Celestial Sect was flaunting their prowess now, not because of the strength of the cultivators themselves, but because they had the puppet of a Heaven Master-level powerhouse and the corpse of a 9th-stage cultivator. After the Rank 9 corpse was activated, no one knew how powerful it would be. But conservatively speaking, even if its strength was reduced when it was alive, its combat power would still be far beyond a Heaven Master-level puppet. This impact was not something the world of Samsara could bear. We can only look at the situation. Now the spies of various forces are watching Sky Peak Sect closely. If Sky Peak Sect makes a move, even if there are losses, we have to deal with Sky Peak Sect first. Dachura said. There's nothing we can do about it. We can only wait and see what choice Ling Tian makes. However, I don't think he'll betray the world of reincarnation because there's no benefit for him. The most he can do is to ignore this war and wait for us to suffer losses. Then, he'll come out and take advantage of us. This is also in line with Ling Tian's character, Yishan said. Dachura nodded. Thunderfire Lord betrayed the world of Samsara because he was disgraced. He was kicked out of his position as the city lord and lost all his face. It was impossible for him to develop in the future, so he was shameless. However, Sky Peak Sect had developed in the world of Samsara for countless years. It existed after the world of Samsara was formed. It had a long history and was deeply rooted. If they betrayed the world of Samsara, they would be despised by the people of the world of Samsara. Even if they wanted to recruit disciples in the future, no one would join them. Night Sorrow and Dachura stayed in the mansion and waited for the news. At present, the army of Shenwu Great World appeared, but they were still in the preparation stage. They didn't attack directly. There was no possibility of surprise in the war between worlds. They could only advance steadily. A few days later, someone from the City Lord's mansion came to inform Night Sorrow and Dachura to come to the City Lord's mansion for a meeting. There was some news. When Night Sorrow arrived at the City Lord's mansion, not all the Heaven Masters were there. Night Sorrow and Dachura waited at the side. The meeting couldn't begin until everyone was present. However, it only took a short while. Everyone came quickly. Then, Qing Emperor, who was sitting on the main seat, spoke. We have the results of the investigation on their strength. There are 5 forces in the Shenwu Great World that joined forces to attack the world of Samsara. There are 9 Heaven Masters from the Shenwu Great World who came to participate in the war. Including the traitor Thunderfire, there are 9 Heaven Masters in total, which is the same as the number of people we have now. Qing Emperor said. That is to say, except for the Zhanwu dynasty, all the other forces have 1 Heaven Master. Even if there are 2 Heaven Masters, they only sent 1 person to fight. Misty Rain added. There are quite a lot of people who came to participate in the war. Qing Emperor, is there any news about Xiandarozi? Red Emperor asked. Yes, I called everyone here today to talk about this matter. They really haven't closed the teleportation formation that connects to the Xuanhuan Great World. It's not that they didn't close it. They only closed it this morning. Xiandarozi has already returned. The 2 secret teleportation formations have already been set up, Emperor Qing said. Chapter 1366. Everyone nodded their heads happily. Fortunately, I came back in time. As soon as I arrived at the Xianhuang Great World, someone shouted that they couldn't teleport to the Shenwu Great World. They communicated with the Xianhuang City Lord and decided to close the portal for a while, Xiandaozi said. Hee, with the dark portal, we won't be too passive, Sima Tianqing said. Since they left a backup plan, the two armies will confront each other and officially start a war. There's no way to cheat. They're going all out. Their first target is the Black Fiend Valley, Qing Emperor said. Everyone's intention was clear. They were going to have a decisive battle in the Black Fiend Valley. Since they were already here, they would have to fight. Then, the armies of all forces were mobilized and gathered in the Dragon Cloud Mountain in the Black Fiend Valley. When the Nine Heavens army arrived, Knight Sorrow, the commander, naturally arrived. Nu Lin helped Knight Sorrow bring Ice Qilin along. Looking at Ice Qilin, Knight Sorrow was very surprised. Ice Qilin was already a 5-star king. It hadn't been long since he had advanced from a 4-star king to a 5-star king. This showed that he was very talented. Datura told Knight Sorrow that Ice Qilin was still very young. To have such a cultivation at such a young age, he was definitely a direct descendant of the Xian Ice Qilin Tiger clan. The Demon Blood Army and the Bloodthirsty Army of the Dark Abyss also arrived at the Dragon Cloud Mountain. This time, the Reincarnation Great World had mobilized all the elites. While Knight Sorrow was talking with Ice Qilin, Qing Emperor came to the camp of the Nine Heavens Army. Master, you're here. Knight Sorrow invited Qing Emperor into the tent. After looking at all the armies, our Nine Heavens Army is still the most energetic, Qing Emperor said after sitting down. Master, how are you now? Knight Sorrow asked. Much better. If the heavenly law allowed you to recover 70% of your powers, then the City Lord Seal can suppress 20% of your powers. If I were to fight, I would have 90% of my powers. That should be enough, Qing Emperor said. Z Genuine First Release. It's not a big problem. However, the daily torment of the evil dragon's poisonous centipede is extremely unbearable, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow was very clear about the evil dragon's poison centipede. The evil dragon's poison centipede was a great torment to a person's body and soul. It was also a great test of willpower. It's all right. Actually, I've managed to survive this calamity, Qing Emperor said with a smile. Although he was tortured, Qing Emperor knew that Wu You's life was over. Right now, I have the strength to contend against a monarch. However, the White Tiger tribe cannot be calculated as an ordinary cultivator. Therefore, I plan to go after I have a greater chance of success, Knight Sorrow said. Don't worry. I'll be relieved when you reach the monarch realm. You have talents and attributes that others don't have. Once you reach the monarch realm, I'm afraid that even a Sky Master won't be able to threaten your life. You can go anywhere you want, Qing Emperor said. He knew his little disciple well. When he attacked the Fan Tian Tower Master in front of the Samsara Palace, he saw his potential and strength. Then, the master and disciple discussed the current situation. Qing Emperor felt that it was not the time for a life-and-death struggle. It was not the time for a Sky Master to fight head-on. The Samsara world would not be at a disadvantage in a war between armies. A Sky Master came from the Shenwu Great World. However, only 5 armies were mobilized. The Samsara world had mobilized almost all of their armies. They had an advantage in a war between armies. In addition, a stalemate was also advantageous for the Samsara world. They would consume less energy if they fought in their own territory. If the Shenwu Great World did not achieve anything in a short period of time, their momentum would decline. Master, Lord of Heaven Yuandao knows about our war, right? Knight Sorrow asked. He felt that it was a bit strange. A war between worlds broke out in the Samsara world. As the top force in the Samsara world, Lord of Heaven Yuandao should have reacted. Lord of Heaven Yuandao sent a message to you. He said that you should send a message to him if necessary. Now, Lord of Heaven Yuandao has other things to deal with. That is to say, only the celestial sect is not harmonious in the Samsara world, Qing Emperor said. It's disgusting that the celestial sect has a rank 9 corpse. Knight Sorrow muttered. Unless it was a matter of life and death, no one would be willing to provoke them. After all, it might lead to a life and death struggle. How is it between you and Datura? I think you're good. It's good that you treat each other with respect. Qing Emperor said. At first, he was worried that his disciple would be wronged if he married Datura Datura. After all, Datura Datura was famous for being domineering. Master, don't worry. Datura Datura has a thorough understanding of life. He gets along well with his disciple and family, Knight Sorrow said. That's good. Qing Emperor nodded and was relieved. Qing Emperor left. Knight Sorrow was thinking about how to fight a war to maximize the benefits. Only then would he give the other party a heavy blow. There was a teleportation array. However, if he did not follow the rules and attack the other party's base, the other party would also attack his base. It was equivalent to killing 1,000 enemies at the cost of 100. If the other party did the same, the people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Therefore, Knight Sorrow had to consider carefully. When Mandala arrived and saw Yi Shang deep in thought, she asked. Knight Sorrow sighed and told him his idea. You're worried about the losses. In fact, the other party has already attacked. We don't need to worry anymore. If we don't have the courage to go all out, we won't be able to fight the war, Datura Datura said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Datura Datura was right. However, he felt that he had to consider it carefully. Aluo, if we take down the Zhanwu dynasty's imperial palace in an instant, wash it with blood, and don't touch the other forces' main cities for the time being, how do you think the other party's alliance will react? Knight Sorrow looked at Datura Datura and asked. It's hard to say. Although it's an alliance, everyone has their own selfish motives. They are worried that if they attack our main cities, we will attack their main cities too. Therefore, it's a taboo. Don't talk about the alliance. Selfishness is human nature, Datura Datura said. That's good. I'll think about it first and see how to deal with one first. Also, I think that we have the advantage in a sneak attack. They can't. We can set up a teleportation array secretly. If they sneak attack, our troops will be there instantly. Their sneak attack will be ineffective, Knight Sorrow said. Since their sneak attack is ineffective, what else do we have to worry about? Just hit them where it hurts. If they are too cheap, we have to teach them a lesson. If they hurt, they will be honest, Datura Datura said. Then, Knight Sorrow and Datura Datura went to the command tent. Come. Knight Sorrow. This is the heart-cleansing tea you bought in your tea house. Sima Tiancheng waved at Knight Sorrow. Okay, thank you, Master. Knight Sorrow nodded and sat next to Sima Tiancheng. Do you have any ideas? Qing Emperor looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. I have some ideas, but I don't know if they will work, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 1367. If you have an idea, then say it. Everyone, listen. The Azure the Arch nodded. Knight Sorrow then shared his thoughts. This is a good idea. As long as we don't get attacked by a faction, they won't go crazy, said Red Emperor after everyone thought for a while. I'm just giving everyone some ideas. The war has already broken out. There's no point in being merciful to them, said Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything else. He just gave everyone some ideas. He wouldn't command the battle because it wasn't suitable for him. He just had to lead the Nine Heavens army. Knight Sorrow left the tent and returned to the Nine Heavens army's encampment. He watched the members of the god-slaying team cultivate. Liyue, how are the resources? Knight Sorrow shouted to Nan Liyue. Leader, we have all the resources. Don't worry, Nan Liyue said after coming over. If it's not enough, let me know. If we want to rise, we can't lack resources, said Knight Sorrow. After Knight Sorrow left the tent, Li Tianba looked at Qing Emperor and the others. Actually, I think it's good that Knight Sorrow is in command. Why did he leave after coming up with the idea? He doesn't think it's suitable. Let's not force him, said Misty Rain. Then, the group of leaders started to discuss the battle plan. However, everyone felt that there was no need to rush. They should first set up the teleportation array in each faction's main city. If there was a problem, they could rush back to support immediately. On the third day after the Reincarnation World's army arrived, the Zhanwu dynasty led the Shenwu Great World's army to launch an all-out attack on the Black Fiend Valley. Qing Emperor arranged for the various armies to stop the attack and officially started the war. Knight Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to battle. Their target was Linfeng City. The army attacking Linfeng City was from the Zhanwu dynasty. When the Nine Heavens army arrived, Linfeng City had already been breached. The Mad Tiger army was attacking the city. Seeing this scene, Knight Sorrow was enraged. He immediately gave the order to get into formation and kill the enemy. The Leitang and Dingxiang troops surrounded them. Knight Sorrow rode on the ice Qilin and charged at the very front. With a wave of space splitter, rays of light shot out in all directions. The soldiers of the Wild Tiger Corps who were targeted by Knight Sorrow were dead. The ice Qilin's body glowed with white light. That was the ice sealing will and ice sealing law. Even if it couldn't freeze a high-level king, it would still have a huge impact. In a war, even the slightest impact could be fatal. The Nine Heavens Legion sent out 6 armies this time. The Qishan army was currently stationed at the Qing Emperor's city. The Angry Qilin army, Thunder army, Dingxiang army, Omping army, Black Tiger army, and Storm army were all sent out. The Angry Qilin army had the strongest frontal combat ability, followed by the Thunder army, and then the Black Tiger army. Now that the Thunderclap army and Dingxiang army had surrounded them, Knight Sorrow led the Angry Qilin army and the Black Tiger army to fight at the front. Genuine edition, no one could stop him. At this moment, Yi Shang's cultivation was close to that of a late-stage star venerate king. When he fought with his full power, he was like a killing god. The Zhanwu dynasty's army scattered under Yi Shang's lead. Declaring war in the world of reincarnation is a slap to our face. Whoever slaps our face, we'll kill them. Knight Sorrow roared. At this moment, the Nine Heavens Legion's morale was high. Because the commander was at the forefront, he could take lives with every move. Don't be so arrogant. This Prince Hu Xiao will kill you. A man in gold appeared. He was the 3rd prince of the Zhanwu dynasty, Hu Xiao. Knight Sorrow knew that Hu Xiao was a monarch. However, he wasn't afraid. He waved the sky splitter and began to fight. After the weapons clashed, the two separated. Knight Sorrow's body shook and left the ice Qilin's back. His body flashed and charged towards Hu Xiao. At this moment, the ice Qilin couldn't keep up with Knight Sorrow's battle speed. When fighting against King, the ice Qilin could cooperate with Knight Sorrow. However, when fighting against a monarch, it couldn't help nor participate. Knight Sorrow and Hu Xiao fought fiercely in the air. Hu Xiao was very strong. He constantly used a unique skill. Knight Sorrow also had to use a unique skill to resist. Hu Xiao was good at strength. His unique skill was also a support skill. Therefore, he could fight evenly with Knight Sorrow. As Knight Sorrow and Hu Xiao fought in the air, the legions below were fighting. Hu Xiao was shocked. He was already in the late stage of the monarch realm and had comprehended 97% of his willpower. However, he couldn't suppress King. Moreover, he kept using his unique skills. The Zhanwu dynasty had 2 kinds of secret techniques. One was a secret technique that combined the soul and Zhen Qi with a soul attack. However, only the most powerful people could cultivate it. The other was a secret technique that combined the body and Zhen Qi. Tiger Roar cultivated this kind of secret technique. It was a secret technique that combined the physical strength and Zhen Qi. Its attack was powerful and heavy, and it was suitable for direct combat. However, Knight Sorrow cultivated the body, so the power of his secret technique was restrained, and he could not establish an advantage. Knight Sorrow's unique skill was also restrained. Hu Xiao's head emitted a yellow halo that kept his soul from being affected. Therefore, he could withstand Knight Sorrow's unique skill. The two of them continued to fight in the air. Violent waves of energy rolled around them. The legions below were also fighting. It was very intense. Broken bricks and broken tiles flew everywhere. Blood flowed everywhere. The Nine Heavens Legion didn't suffer heavy losses. Because of the formation, they could support each other and reduce the death rate. Seeing that his subordinates had suffered heavy losses and that he couldn't take down Knight Sorrow, Hu Xiao didn't want to fight anymore. Fighting would only increase the number of casualties. He shouted and ordered his subordinates to retreat. Then he flashed away. Hu Xiao didn't want to fight, but Knight Sorrow and the Nine Heavens Legion didn't want to. They started to chase him. Once the formation was messed up, their fighting power plummeted. Knight Sorrow led his men and started to chase. However, after chasing for 1,000 miles, Knight Sorrow ordered his men to stop. The enemy had started to scatter yellow fog behind them. Without knowing what it was, Knight Sorrow couldn't let his men enter. Knight Sorrow went in to investigate. He sensed that it was a poisonous fog that would corrode a cultivator's true chi. It would drive them crazy and make them unable to differentiate between friend and foe. Rage Qilin, organize the troops. Check the losses. If you can save them no matter the cost. Don't give up on any of your brothers, Knight Sorrow said to Rage Qilin. After giving Rage Qilin instructions, Knight Sorrow returned to Overwind City. He took a teleportation formation to the command tent in Dragon Cloud Mountain Range. How is Knight Sorrow doing? Qing Emperor stood up. The battle in Overwind City went well. Our 9 Heavens Legion didn't suffer heavy losses. We heavily injured the Tiger Warrior Legion. However, because they released a poisonous fog, I can't continue the chase. How are the other battles? Knight Sorrow asked. There's no news yet. Their Sky Masters haven't moved. We're here to keep an eye on them. You're the first to come back, Qing Emperor said. Knight Sorrow, you're good. Winning the first battle is a good start, Sima Tianchang said to Knight Sorrow. I didn't kill the enemy's commander. It's just that his defense is too good. His soul defense is too strong. He has an absolute art, Knight Sorrow said. Knight Sorrow felt a little regretful that he didn't kill Hu Shao. First update. Chapter 1368. What secret technique? Datura asked. My attacks are incomparably ferocious and heavy. In the past, my body's toughness and strength were my forte, but this time, I couldn't suppress him. In addition, when I launched a soul attack, his head was protected by a halo, so I couldn't use the power of my unique skill, said Knight Sorrow. It seems that you met a direct descendant of the Zhanwu dynasty. They are tiger beasts and have the sky tiger body. Their bodies are strong and their attacks are powerful. Not to mention suppression, it's good that you can withstand it, Datura said. They don't have a soul defense technique. They must have a soul defense treasure. The one you fought must be a monarch. It's good that you didn't lose. Qing Emperor looked at his disciple with satisfaction. It was rare that king could fight against a monarch. Then, news came back one after another. There were victories and losses in the war, and both sides suffered losses. The Sima Residence's army suffered some losses. The Black Fiend Valley's Black Demon Army suffered some losses. The Demon Blood Army won, the Sky Heart Army won, and the Green Scale Army suffered losses. Then, everyone made a summary of the war and the reasons why the armies lost. There were victories and losses in war. Everyone knew that this was unavoidable. No army was made of paper. There were bound to be losses in war. What they needed to study was how to avoid and minimize the losses. Then there was the problem of the poisonous fog. Knight Sorrow wasn't the only one who encountered it. The other defeated armies also encountered it. They are really unscrupulous. Everyone knows that they don't use poison in war. Although their poison isn't fatal, it's still poison, Sima Tianchang said angrily. Master Sima, we in the world of reincarnation abide by this rule. However, they are occupying our world of reincarnation. Naturally, they will use unscrupulous means, Misty Rain said. Yes, I was too impatient. Sima Tiancheng nodded. Then can we use poison? Li Tianhu asked. Of course, but we don't have any poison reserves. They are prepared. This is the difference. Qing Emperor said. In the Shenwu Great World, the Poison King Valley is one of the top forces. They are good at using poison and poison arts. We have to be careful when fighting with the people from the Poison King Valley. Their Sky Master's battle prowess is average, but they have many tricks up their sleeves. They also cultivate poison arts. Misty Rain said. She had wandered around the Shenwu Great World, so she knew some things about the Shenwu Great World. We need someone to deal with their Heaven Master. Prepare some antidote pills. They must be top-notch. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to suppress them and we will be at a disadvantage, Qing Emperor said. I'll deal with her. I know the name of the 10,000 poison heavenly monarch. I want to see how poisonous she can be. Datura said coldly. Ah Luo. Here is a glazed golden core. Take it. It will be effective when you fight someone who cultivates poison. Night Sorrow took out a glazed golden core. Don't you remember me? When I refined it last time, I kept 2 of them. Datura said with a smile. She was very happy. Night Sorrow didn't hide it from others and directly expressed his concern. This was love. F is the only F version carrot, and he was a pirated version. I forgot. Night Sorrow said and threw the glazed golden core to Sandalwood. Junior brother. You are wrong. You should give it to your wife first. You only give it to your senior brother when your wife doesn't want it. Sandalwood said with a smile. Haha, senior brother must be joking. It was Aluo who said to deal with the 10,000 poison heavenly monarch. Junior brother was a little worried and forgot that I had this kind of pill. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He knew that Sandalwood was joking because Sandalwood treated him as his own younger brother. Take it. Night Sorrow, how many treasures do you have to be able to forget about a top-notch pill like the glazed golden core? Sima Tiancheng shook his head. Ahaha, Night Sorrow is just a little careless. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Sima Tiancheng. Although they were facing a war, the people in the tent didn't feel much pressure. To be able to cultivate to the level of Skymaster, they had experienced a lot of ups and downs. Night Sorrow then walked out of the tent with Datura. Night Sorrow, be careful. I am a little worried about you. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said, Don't worry. I cultivate my body and can fight head-on. I cultivate the will of time and space. In terms of speed, even monarchs might not be as fast as me. You, on the other hand, I am worried about you. Night Sorrow turned and held Datura's hand and said, I know. I will be careful. Because I like to spend time with you like this. I cherish it. Datura squeezed Night Sorrow's hand and said. Night Sorrow gave Datura 2 bottles of soul-extinguishing poison smoke. The other party was proficient in poison, but the soul-extinguishing poison smoke was also a strange poison. After the war started, battles occurred every day. It was in the Black Fiend Valley region because the Black Fiend Valley was the closest to the Thunder Cliff. This made Li Tianba fly into a rage. These were all losses because in every battle, even if the world of reincarnation won, the cities would suffer heavy losses. This was something that couldn't be helped. However, the Qing Emperor promised that after the war, everyone would assist in the recovery of the Black Fiend Valley region. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. There were battles every day. Night Sorrow also frequently led the 9 Heavens army to battle. Every time they went out, they would kill countless enemies. At this time, Night Sorrow had already registered in the Shenwu Great World. Everyone knew about Night Sorrow and the strength of the Qing Emperor's 9 Heavens army. After another battle, Night Sorrow felt that the golden light of virtue in his spirit sea was stronger. This was because he had received the recognition of the world of reincarnation's origin. It recognized that he had merit for the world of reincarnation, so his golden light of virtue was strengthened. During the war, people who fought for the world of reincarnation would more or less receive some luck and merit. Night Sorrow's gains were obvious because he had the foundation of a body of merit. The effect was more obvious. This was what the doppelganger felt. The one who received the merit was the original body. When the original body's situation changed, the doppelganger would change. Night Sorrow led the 9 Heavens army out on patrol every day. Wherever there was a battle, he would be informed immediately. He would then lead people to kill. Sometimes, Datura would follow Night Sorrow out on patrol. She did not participate because she wanted to watch Night Sorrow fight. Watching her husband fight would make her feel at ease. Today, when they received news that an army was charging towards Black Fiend City, Night Sorrow led the 9 Heavens army to meet the attack. However, the opponent was clearly prepared. 3 sovereigns surrounded Night Sorrow. The 9 Heavens army's general was blocked. The opponent wanted to kill Night Sorrow. Among them was Wuxia, who had fought with Night Sorrow before. The other 2 were a man and a woman. They were all sovereigns. The man had a gloomy aura, while the woman had a baleful aura. Being surrounded, Night Sorrow naturally changed his tactics. The power of desolation spread into his body, strengthening his attack power. The space energy increased his speed, and he began to kill the man with a gloomy aura. Second watch. Chapter 1369. In a group battle, one had to display their speed and not be suppressed by others. In addition, one had to choose a target, grab a target, and kill it. With the full support of the will of space and the space law, Hu Xiao and the other woman's attacks all missed. This made Hu Xiao's expression change. After the previous battle, he thought that Night Sorrow's speed was only slightly faster than his. However, the speed that Night Sorrow displayed now was different from last time. In addition, the power of his attacks had also changed. He couldn't even stop him. Last time, when he fought with Night Sorrow, Hu Xiao felt that Night Sorrow was very strong, but not undefeatable. He felt that it would be difficult for him to kill Night Sorrow alone, and that it would be enough to find help. Then, he found Poison King Valley's Thousand Poisons monarch and his junior sister, Hu Quan, and prepared to kill Night Sorrow when they met Night Sorrow. Now they met Night Sorrow, but it was different from last time. Night Sorrow was faster and stronger. It wasn't that Night Sorrow had improved a lot during this period of time, but that the tactical arrangements were different. Last time, Night Sorrow was more cautious and was a little conservative when fighting. However, this time it was different. 3 against 1. If the path of moderation didn't work, he had to display his strength to the extreme. He pursued speed power and attack power. Defense was secondary. In addition, the power of Desolate spread into his body. It wouldn't be easy for anyone to hurt him. Night Sorrow dodged Hu Xiao. His left hand occasionally used Shockwave Punch and Heaven Covering Hand to block Hu Quan's attacks. The Space Rend in his right hand was either Void Extreme Kill or Space Revolving Dragon Kill to suppress Thousand Poisons Monarch. Thousand Poisons Monarch wanted to curse because it was usually others who were afraid of him. However, Night Sorrow treated him as a soft persimmon and suppressed him with attacks. He didn't dare to clash with Night Sorrow's Space Rend and could only rely on his saber aura to fight with Night Sorrow's radiance. Because the tip of his saber had been destroyed in the first clash, he really didn't dare to clash head-on with Night Sorrow. Thousand Poisons Monarch was annoyed because the more he was afraid of clashing with Night Sorrow, the stronger Night Sorrow was. He dodged Hu Xiao and fought with Hu Quan, suppressing him. In the Nine Heavens army, Nu Lin and Qin Leitang were very anxious and angry. Night Sorrow, with King's cultivation, was now being surrounded by 3 monarchs. Who was Night Sorrow? That was the Nine Heavens monarch's soul of the Nine Heavens monarch. Now that they were being ganged up on, how could they bear it? They all fought with all their might to save Yi Shan. You've gone too far. Thousand Poisons Monarch roared and raised his saber, drawing an arc in the air and slashing towards Night Sorrow's Space Rend. The Nine Heavens army soldiers were furious, and so was the Thousand Poisons Monarch. Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. At this moment, Night Sorrow changed his move and used his killer move. Under Hu Xiao and Hu Quan's suppression, Thousand Poisons Monarch was as slippery as a loach. He really couldn't kill him. Now that Thousand Poisons Monarch wanted to clash head-on, it was his chance to kill him. Thousand Poisons, retreat! Seeing the purple halo rippling, Hu Xiao roared and stabbed at Night Sorrow's back. Original first. Release 9 heavy armor. Night Sorrow propped up the 9 heavy armor and used the power of Desolates to protect his body. He also used a shockwave shield to defend against Hu Xiao's attack. Night Sorrow didn't want to give up halfway with his killer move. He wanted to kill one of them. Thousand Poisons Monarch, who was enveloped by Night Sorrow's killer move and didn't have a soul defense like Hu Xiao, fell into a daze. Just as he was in a daze, Night Sorrow's Space Rend pierced through space and pierced through Thousand Poisons Monarch's forehead. The energy exploded, blowing Thousand Poisons Monarch's head into pieces. Both his Spirit Sea and Infant Soul were annihilated into nothingness. However, at this time, Hu Xiao and Hu Quan's killer moves arrived. Hu Xiao's blade stabbed at the back of Night Sorrow's shoulder and continuously collided with the energy of Night Sorrow's protective shield. Then, it broke through Night Sorrow's protective shield and pierced into Night Sorrow's body. At this time, Night Sorrow's Space Rend reverberated and whipped towards Hu Xiao. The energy in Hu Xiao's right hand exploded. He planned to rush into Night Sorrow's body through his battle blade and explode Night Sorrow's body. However, in reality, the power of Desolates in Night Sorrow's body had already traveled through Hu Xiao's battle blade to Hu Xiao's right arm. The two types of energy collided within the battle blade. Zhan Hu's expression changed drastically. He knew how strong Night Sorrow was. If he didn't dodge, this whip would injure him. He pulled out his battle blade and retreated. However, Hu Quan seized the opportunity. The long sword in his hand followed the gap between Night Sorrow's arm and stabbed towards Night Sorrow's dantian. The 9 heavy armor flashed twice and blocked the energy on Hu Quan's long sword. However, it was still broken by the long sword. Hu Quan's long sword stabbed into Night Sorrow's waist. This was because Night Sorrow twisted his body and avoided his vital points. Hu Quan's long sword did not pierce his dantian. Night Sorrow's left hand used heaven-covering hand grab. His 5 fingers on his left hand clasped together and grabbed Hu Quan's long sword. He prevented the energy on Hu Quan's long sword from exploding and injuring his body. Then, the space rend in his right hand stabbed towards Hu Quan's head. Wind Cloud Shield. Hu Quan was unwilling to give up his long sword, so he took out a shield. The shield flashed with a green light and blocked the path of Night Sorrow's attack. Following an explosion, the shield was shattered by Night Sorrow's space rend. However, Night Sorrow's attack was also blocked. At this time, Night Sorrow's space rend slid down, and with an arc, it slashed past Hu Quan's arm that was holding onto the long sword, directly cutting off Hu Quan's arm. Hu Quan screamed and retreated. His weapon was still stuck in Night Sorrow's body. With his arm broken, how could he continue fighting? Night Sorrow turned around and used Great Death Destruction Slash towards Hu Quan, who was rushing over. After an explosion, Hu Quan was also sent flying. After sending Hu Quan flying, Night Sorrow grabbed Thousand Poison Sovereign's storage ring with his left hand and continued to chase after Hu Quan. At this time, Night Sorrow's long sword was still missing from his waist. On the long sword hung a broken arm. Because Hu Quan's right hand was clenched tightly, his arm was still holding onto the long sword even though his arm was broken. Night Sorrow chased after Hu Quan to kill him, while Hu Quan was holding him back from behind. Looking at Hu Quan, who was attacking Night Sorrow from time to time, Hu Quan shouted, "Hu Quan, let's go!" He knew that he had lost again today. The 3 of them had not succeeded in killing Night Sorrow. Now that Thousand Poison Sovereign was dead and Hu Quan was heavily injured, he and Hu Quan had no chance of killing Night Sorrow. "Just you wait. If I don't kill you, I'm not human." Hu Quan's body flashed and landed in the midst of the battle. Hu Quan's body flashed and he turned to run. Night Sorrow chased after him from behind. However, because Hu Quan had a soul defense and was extremely strong, it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to kill him. He also felt that his condition was deteriorating, so he did not chase after him. At this time, the Zhanwu dynasty's army was also scattered. Some were dead and some were running away. Some of the opponents were killed and some were forced to retreat. A few of the 9 Heaven Army's generals went to Night Sorrow's side. They were a little worried about Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow was also in a sorry state. His back was stabbed and his battle robe was dyed red with blood. The long sword with the broken arm was still hanging on his waist. "Commander, we were held back and caused you to be injured. Please punish us." Nu Lin's face was full of guilt. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.